produces a continuous flow of assessment information that teachers and students use to improve learning. In short, assessment becomes instruction, and instruction becomes assessment.
On behalf of the NEC, comrades, allow me to thank you for the work that you put in terms of that training. Surely it's part of your professional development, but you played a role in the professional growth of other teachers. And teachers learn best from other teachers, comrades. So, comrades, I want to greet you then on behalf of the NEC of SACTO under the leadership of Maluleke, the General Secretary, and the President, Comrade Mapila. We are also greeting you on behalf of 277,000 members. Comrades, the student chapter, let me acknowledge you. Let me just clarify that you are here to learn. You're going to step into teaching very soon. So you are here to learn. You are not going to be a master trainer. Okay, so you can support, you can go and see what the master trainers are doing, but your purpose here is to learn so that we help you in stepping into the profession as the union. Comrades, we've invited representatives from inclusive education, from curriculum, from assessment, because when we speak about assessment for learning, comrades, it's not an assessment issue, it's not a curriculum issue, it is an education issue. It is a pedagogy issue. So we need inclusive education here. We need curriculum people here. We need assessment people here. I think the most important people is the master trainers. And I get very excited when I see the young faces and I see the potential, comrades. And you then rest assured that our children is in good hands when we give the baton off, comrades. So very welcome to the master trainers. Any program that we bring to you, comrades, we are guided by our constitution, we are guided by our 2030 vision, and we are guided by the fact that we are a trade union. We're not a political party. We have a legal responsibility to negotiate on your behalf, to represent you, to improve your conditions of service and your working conditions, to regulate the relationship between the employer and yourself, and negotiate collective bargaining. Comrades, we are guided by our constitution, which speaks about accessible, equal, qualitative education. And so therefore, when we embark on a program, we look at it through this lens. Is this quality? Will it improve accessibility? Will it improve, is it equitable? Will it improve the move towards equality? And so we also look at issues of social justice. We look at issues of social cohesion through education. We look at issues of transformation. And so this is what guides us in terms of what we do. And so we also look at service, our 2030 vision, and we're addressing two pillars: servicing our members and creating a learning nation. We will never neglect the labor part, because that is why we are a trade union. But the quality of education is a priority. And so we understand that we will always work towards an education system that is inclusive of quality, and it must be well funded. Looking at the austerity measures currently happening, comrades, we are saying that education budgets should not be part of austerity measures, should be protected from austerity measures, because it impacts on everything that we do. So, comrades, while we're working for conditions of service, we're also committed to ensuring that we empower our teachers to deliver quality education. But you will see that what our theme does, it tells us what our programs must be aligned to. And so, public education, quality public education in 1998, in 2002, free quality public education. In 2006, we spoke about people's education. The principles of people's education, comrades, must be adhered to if we want to bring about quality education. So it's embedded in quality education, issues of access to education, issues of redress, issues of equity, issues of inclusivity, issues of democratic participation. That is why we have SGBs. It's because of that process. We are explicit about quality education. We say that quality education needs quality teachers, right? And there's a lot of narrative around that, which links your quality of your education system with the quality of teachers. But it's also supported by research. It's not just that it's a narrative, it's supported by research that the quality of a teacher have an impact of the quality of education, but how? That is the question that we need. What is a quality teacher? We need to have a teacher with the content, and we need to have a teacher with the pedagogy. Because you may have the content, but you don't have the pedagogy, then you're not going to deliver good teaching, comrades. And usually I had brilliant maths teachers, comrades. They had the knowledge, but they didn't always have the pedagogy to translate that knowledge into learning. We're saying that as a union, you need to invest in our teachers and you need to invest in professional development. Because it's professional development that will contribute to the quality of the teacher, the quality of the teaching and learning that is taking place within the classroom. We train teachers for the ideal situation. And when we're not taking into consideration the realities within our classroom and how the teacher needs to contend with that within the learning process. It must be funded, comrades. We believe that teachers should not be paying for their professional development. SATU has never charged a member for professional development, comrades. Because the professional development is not a luxury, comrades. It's a priority. We established a SATU Curtis Nkondo Professional Development Institute to bring training to our members. And so you're receiving this training through the institute, and we have particular principles of that institute. Teachers must drive their own professional development, comrades. You are here, not because the department told you to be here, not because your employer told you. You came here of free will. You drive your own professional development. No one can do that for you, comrades. We need to ensure that we as the union create that enabling environment so that you can actively participate in your own professional development. So we operate on a principle that our teachers are beneficiaries and implementers of training, and that is what you are. We're training you now to be master teachers, so you will be a recipient of the training, but you will also now implement the training. And so that is the model that we operate on, and we believe in collaboration, comrades, to improve the quality of the programs that we bring to our members. We don't have in-house expertise on coding and robotics. So we bring in the specialists, we bring in university to assist us with that, the academics to assist us. In the same way, we don't have in-house expertise on assessment for learning, formative assessment, and so we collaborate with the provider to ensure, comrades, that what we bring to you is quality. Comrades, I must remind you that the funding for the teacher union collaboration doesn't come from your subscriptions. It is money that comes from treasury, comrades, and we need to account for that money. You're benefiting because you belong to SATU. You're benefiting because we are the biggest union within the ELRC. So, comrades, it is a collaboration between the DBE and then by extension the 9 PEDs and the 5 teacher unions who have access to the ELRC. It is SATU, NATU, PEU, SAOU, and NAPTOSA. So remember, SATU is there as a standalone, and the other 4 unions are there as ATU, as a combined union. Previously, we did coding and robotics. Our mandate when we train teachers on coding and robotics was to do orientation. We did not do content training. So we, comrades, support coding and robotics. It's a skill for the changing world that will be taught there. The success of the TUC depends on whether we're going to be successful. And we've been very successful in terms of the training, thanks to you, comrades, the master teachers, who did a sterling job in terms of, I see some people were part of coding and robotics, they're now part of AFL, and so we really appreciate the work that you're doing. So comrades, we manage the budget. We are accountable for that budget. So therefore you will see we have registers, we have monitors, because we need to account. It's public funds, comrades. So we need to account for that money. It's our responsibility to recruit in conjunction with the PED. Any union can come to our training. The TUC was born out of CAPS, when the department could not train the system for CAPS, they brought in the unions, and that is where the teacher union collaboration was actually born. We've decided on assessment for learning as a focus area. We will be here for 3 days, but you will receive a kit. You will once again receive the manual, and you will receive a flash drive with all the presentations and everything that you will need to go and do the training. We will train 440 master teachers across all provinces, and you will go and train a one-day training, and we will unpack that for you. The department has now adopted assessment for learning as a strategic objective to implement. So we're saying that while you're training teachers to implement, you cannot leave your principals out and your SMT. Because you're now going to go to your school very clever, and your principal is going to say, hey, stop. And, because when you manage a school, you need to know what it is you're managing. So now we're also running parallel sessions with SMTs in terms of training school leaders in AFL. But we need to go a step further. We also need to train our subject advisors. Because that support, because if you have that three in the system, the teacher implementing, the school supporting, and the district supporting the school, that would be the recipe for successful implementation and full-scale implementation. Why are we so interested in formative assessment? The challenges are still the same. That we have an education system that focuses on summative assessment, on tests and examinations. There's a preoccupation in our system with tests and examinations, comrades, which is summative. So we're saying that we need to shift that focus. If you just look at your NSC examination, comrades, everything in our system is geared towards this NSC examination. The interventions and the money for the interventions is placed there. Instead of getting our foundation right, our ECD, our foundation phase. So this is a challenge for us. We're not saying that there's no space for summative assessment. There is. But the over preoccupation with tests. Now what the department is also doing now is they're bringing in common tests. Comrade, common tests, there's no policy on common assessment. So the unions are saying that you cannot bring in common assessment because it's a school-based assessment that must be administered and set by the teacher. So what they're doing with common assessment, comrade, the department is saying that the challenge that they want to address is that teachers are not setting quality assessments. Now, if you're saying that you identify that, then what you should be doing is to come back and train teachers to do. Because that is how the system will benefit. Not by you doing it for them, and then when you look at the common assessment, it's full of mistakes, full of challenges, comrades. But the key thing for SATO is you're taking away teacher agency. You're questioning teachers' professional integrity. When you do things for teachers, you give them a scripted lesson plan. You kill innovation, comrades. Because you give them a script to follow, like an actor. Sometimes we are actors, but we need to be actors in our classroom. But we cannot do that. We cannot take away teachers' professional integrity. So what is the impact, the consequences of this preoccupation with summative assessment? That we focus on curriculum coverage. But curriculum coverage doesn't guarantee learning, comrades. We force teachers to teach to the test, if we say there's going to be a common test, you try to figure out what is going to be in that test, and then you just teach that. And it compromises the acquisition of skills for our learners. It compromises teaching. Less time is spent on teaching skills for our learners to exit. And then for our learners, comrades, they are over-tested. And Anil will tell you how many assessments there is. We've worked on chapter 4 of CAPS, where we reduced the number of assessment. It's about our learners not having the skills to operate. They can't enter the world of work. The currency of our matric certificate don't allow them to do that. Our learners don't leave the system with the general skills to be a good citizen. So what we're saying, that if you have schooling without learning, it's a wasted opportunity. Learning is compromised when you overemphasize summative assessment. And then there's a World Bank development report that says that schooling is not the same as learning. In many countries and communities, schooling is not producing learning. And it's true for our country, comrades. It's not a guarantee that while we're not disputing the fact that you are teaching and our teachers are teaching, but it doesn't guarantee that learning is taking place. So what is AFL about? It's about equipping teachers with the tools so that they use teaching as a tool for learning to take place within the classrooms. So we want to bring to you the strategies as a possible, the potential to address the learning poverty that we have in our classrooms. The key thing for us is AFL places the learner at the center of the learning process. And we don't often do that. And so it encourages active learning, that learners must be active participants in the learning community. They must be co-producers of knowledge. They must be co-creators of knowledge. They cannot sit passively and just receive information. It's about meaningful feedback, and Anil will speak about how do you give meaningful feedback to your learners so that they can take ownership of their learning, so that they can act on their strengths and their weaknesses. It's about encouraging a growth mindset. Let us rather concentrate on progress and not the grade tests and scores, comrades. Let us see if the learner has progress, and that is the growth mindset that we want. We want to use data so that it informs instruction, so that teachers can make professional judgments, and it promotes agency. It's about self-reflection. It's about the learner having to reflect and to think about their thinking, your metacognitive skills. Let them think about their learning, let them think about their thinking, and it supports differentiation, which is a big thing for us. In terms of why SACTU is doing it, why do we support formative assessment within our classrooms? We will train you as lead teachers, we will provide the content, we will provide the resources, we will start planning together, we will establish PLCs, we will then speak about the way forward in terms of the training. So comrades, thank you very much. That is my story.
Effective assessment and instruction are inseparably linked. They must be concurrently planned and clearly rooted in specific learning goals and success criteria. Planning assessment that is seamlessly integrated with instruction produces a continuous flow of assessment information that teachers and students use to improve learning. In short, assessment becomes instruction, and instruction becomes assessment. This video shows teachers planning strategically, using a backward design proposed by Wiggins and McTighe, and purposefully integrating assessment with instruction to improve student learning and inform teacher instruction.
So what we're going to ask you to do, a few people, you can just put your hands up for now. We're not going to use the no hands up just for now, I want you to say what you would like now for this workshop, which is going to support what you've already done. So what are your expectations? Can you do it by show? Sure, put your hand up and say, this is what I would like for the next 2 days.
I see that maybe 17 kids did not get this right. Now my period is about to end. How do I, because I saw that, okay, there is a problem, but now I can't solve it because now the time is up for me. So how do I don't know, I'm just still thinking, yeah, because I did get the problem, but now I didn't solve it because I had to go home. So how do I intervene, solve that differentiation and all that stuff?
My expectation is to learn how to teach for better understanding and not just to teach to pass time.
My expectation as somebody brand new to what we're doing here is to improve learning and assessment for my special needs learners teaching creative arts and design.
Okay. Right, any more expectations on this side here?
If you could maybe clarify the relevance of written book work.
Okay, thank you.
I'm really interested to hear Mr. Osman's take on how to incorporate this AFL strategies into the e-learning and ICTs, because I'm really interested in the e-learning and ICTs, and also very passionate about especially this providing useful feedback, encouraging learners to peer assess and all these type of things, and also how to use the evidence much better, because even though I was here last time for the master training, handing this knowledge over to the learners or to the other educators was great, but now I actually want to learn and see if I've actually been doing a good job since the actual people are here now as well.
Right, thank you. Quite a few things. So e-learning, ICT, incorporating or integrating AFL with that to actually validate your training to see how effective it has been.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just interested to know, I understand in our schools, we are implementing the summative assessment. We teach and then we assess teachers after we have taught them.
Yeah.
So now we're coming up with this new method of AFL, and we've got big numbers in our class.
Right.
Yeah. So how can we try and maneuver from that summative to AFL?
Okay. So basically, how to use formative assessment in large classes as well. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My challenge is, I'm not sure whether it's an expectation or what, but I'm implementing AFL and I'm a grade 3 teacher. Now my learners are in grade 4. What's happening? Because the teachers, you see.
Right. So what happens after you use AFL and the teacher they go to has not been trained?
The next grade is not,
the teacher has not been trained in formative assessment, and so what do you do?
Yeah, right. Because my learners now are frustrated because they are used with the strategies.
Okay, right. So but can I just ask a question, follow up on that? You don't have to answer, just think about it. Did you train your teachers in your school about it?
Yes, I did.
You did, but
yes,
the grade 4 teacher is not using it.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, yeah.
Yes, no,
okay, fine. Thank you.
As a resource class teacher, my learners are taught in DCAPS. Then I have trained the foundation phase teachers on how to use the assessment for learning.
Yeah.
But how is it going to benefit my learners, their SID learners? Is it going to benefit, can they benefit on this? Because I find it difficult to use it in my class.
Okay. When you say SID, you'll have to help me with that acronym.
The severe
intellectual
disabled.
Okay, right, okay. Yeah, thank you. Over there.
My expectation is to know or to be trained to know how can we know or how will we know but those teachers that we are training because we are going to go and train teachers. So now how will we know that they are implementing or training other teachers? Because last time we did train teachers, but still we didn't, there was no follow-up to years.
Yeah, okay. So how to assess the impact of your training of other teachers? Have they continued? Have they? So on. Thank you. Are there any more expectations? If there aren't any, this poster will be on the wall somewhere, and if you have an expectation, then just collect a pen. There's a pen in your kit, and you can come and write another expectation down. So it won't. We might end it at this point, and then if there are other expectations that come up, you can go and write it on the chart itself. Yeah. I'm just going to talk about the overview. Let's start with the bottom part there. Assessment for learning is about all learners. Really, really important. And I think it does. If you do it properly, it reaches all learners. It's about pedagogy. So the point the gentleman made there about an event, it's not an event, it's a pedagogy. You implement it every day in your classrooms. Okay? And it's about integrating what you already know. You are teachers, you've got long experience. Let's validate that. Give yourself a round of applause for that. It's to build on what you know. It's not to say, oh, we're starting from scratch. You've got years and years and years of experience, knowledge, and we want to use that as a starting point. But you've already had the training. We are now coming here to just see and get you maybe more upskilled. Maybe you forgot some things, remind you of some of the things you've probably forgotten or not used, and so on. So that's our goal. It's about theory, it's about practice, it's about beliefs, your experience and your skills. Again, as the gentleman said, it's daily practice. We did feedback, monitoring, we gave tasks to teachers to do, we collected the information, research was done. So it's actually research-based because there was a randomized control trial that we did. Again, the idea of professional learning communities, because Ingrid mentioned collaboration. That's so important. That works in your PLCs as well. We provide the relevant materials and tools, as you will see. And of course, we're going to train SMTs to understand what you are doing. Because you might go back into a classroom and the principal says, what are you doing? Because why? As Prof said, because why? And you need to, so we must also capacitate SMT members to understand what you are doing. The thing about formative assessment is that it actually leads to better performance. It's a fact. I've used it in my classes and I could see the results. So that is what you must remember. Please, this is really, really important. If you've never had assessment for learning training, you've never been to a SATU workshop on this, please stand up. If you have had training, remain seated. We were told there were about 10 people who had never had any formative assessment training with SATU in 2023. Right. So if you can take your lock, stock and barrel for now and move to that table where the table on that side. I don't know if I've put a number on it.
So this is what is going to happen in my short input right now. Is that you are going to use either your mobile phone or your smartphone or your laptop if you have it. You're going to go open up a browser on your phone or your laptop and you're going to go to the Assessment for Learning Moodle site. You're going to log in. For those of you that were training already, you're going to log in with your previous credentials, which was the Purcell number. For the new ones, we are going to allocate you some way to log in. And then we are going to go to the SATU space, Western Cape SATU space. And then I'm going to show you how to do a very quick practice quiz before we do the reflection exercise. Okay, once you've connected to the Wi-Fi, what you've got to do, and this is especially for our newer participants, you've got to go to this URL. It's moodle.assessmentforlearning, which is one word, .co.za. And for those that logged in, there is a practice quiz with just one question in it. It's a multiple choice, but an important thing when you are doing it, after you've made your selection, you will find that there is a submit. This is the practice quiz coming up. And there is a question there that says, my facilitator is, you choose the person you want to. In this particular system, it means that once you've made your choice, and you'll see this later where you've got more questions, you've got to say finish attempt. or say finish attempt over there. I'll click on here. In case the student has made a mistake or something and they want to go back, so they might want to return. But in this case, you want to say submit all and finish. And then it says, yep, confirmation, and now it's submitted and now we will receive it. Okay? So that's the process for those that are already there.
The personal feedback is going to help you, especially for the new people, to determine at the end, did I progress? Before I came, this is where I was. At the end, this is where I am. What did I learn? Did I benefit? But more important, what are my gaps? That's the spirit of formative assessment. What are the gaps and how do I improve? So please do take it seriously. It's an individual exercise. Don't ask your friends for what you know or don't know. After you're done with that, we're going to have a short activity, icebreaker. Then we're going to go on your experiences in the classroom. Okay? This is reflecting on your knowledge and skills, right? Not on your ability to read the book and answer questions. Okay? Lastly, this information is confidential. We don't share it with VP or the HOD or anything. It's only for yourself. So now you can click, you'll see it's called FARE. It's called Formative Assessment Reflection Exercise, FARE. Can you all see that? Okay, so you're done with this. So you just say finish. So once you go in, it will say attempt course now. Click attempt course now and you'll see the questions. Attempt course now. And there's your geluk. Okay? Tell us why FAS 3.
Using questions, discussions, and activities to obtain evidence of learning.
Okay.
And thank you.
Okay, spot on, people. We're using the strategy to see where are my learners. Once I get that information, I'm going to now adjust my teaching. If my learners know single-digit fractions, I shouldn't waste time on it. I can move on to double-digit fractions. If some learners are struggling, okay, and majority are fine, I can move on, make a note of those learners are struggling. While they're doing some activities, I go back to those learners. We're going to do one reflection exercise of your experiences, okay? Which you're going to do online. After that, you're going to be discussing those experiences along with the experiences of trainers to identify what is the challenges, what is the gaps, what did we do well, what did we struggle with, and that then is going to be the basis for our lesson plan. Can you see the link? So the lesson, in other words, is directed by learners. You're not coming here as a teacher to say, today I want you to revise this. No, I'm saying learners, what is it that you're struggling with? Learners, what is it your experiences you coming from your homes? Now, let's build on that and we're going to develop a lesson to address those challenges. Does it make sense? Can you see the learner-centeredness in this? What does teacher do? Facilitate, guide, support, doesn't direct. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now, and hence we need this mixture of experiences and expertise.
We're going to work, you're going to work in your groups, and you're going to be working like a temporary PLC, a professional learning community. We're not going to go through details about what it is. Information is in the book there. You'll see what a PLC is, what a professional learning community is, and how it works. But what you're going to do in your group, you're going to find 4 people. The one person is going to convene the discussion, so you're going to be like a chairperson. The one person is going to be a scribe who's going to write down the information on the page. The third person is going to present that information on the page. But in my view, if the scribe wants to present, it's also okay because they wrote the notes. Is that clear? So you can decide in your group if you want them separate or you want the same person because the scribe is writing.
But the fourth person is going to get a link, and that you're going to submit the information to us using that Google Forms link, which Prof will give to us. There are quite a number of people in your groups. Let me just remind you who they are. In your group, you will find lead teachers who have done the training of other teachers. Is that clear? Then you will have in your group someone who's not been a lead teacher, but has been part of the school management team that has been trained to understand what the teachers are going to be doing in the school. Okay? Then in your group also, you will have people who attended the one-day workshop that the lead teachers or the master teachers trained. Okay? Then you will have a person who attended the master training and the SMT training. Right? Maybe. Then you will have somebody who attended the coding training and the master training. And then in your group, 1 or 2 groups will have 2 students who never attended any training. They're still in university and learning how to teach. So those are the types of people you have.
You might have another group.
Yes.
People who's not supposed to be here.
Okay, good. Right, so that's the profile of your group. What are you going to do? In about 20 minutes, this is going to take about 20 minutes. You're going to discuss in your group, especially the master teachers, those who have trained, what were the 3 successes that were achieved during the training. Is that clear? 3, just 3. You're going to then discuss what were 3 challenges. Okay? And if there was a 4th one, maybe you think it was really important, then put it down. But not more. But 3 maximum if you can. Okay? Then what was the total number of workshops presented by the master trainers in your group? So go around and just count how many in total. If you did 2, if you did 5, whatever, tell us. And then put that total down. Okay? And then, on average, how many master trainers were trained? Because you were supposed to train 2 at a time. Okay, so on average, how many trainers were involved? Was it 2 or was it 1 or you had more? So let us know about that. So that's basically what we would like to do. We're not going to use the flip chart. We're going to do a plenary session for that. What you can do is, those of you who know, you can take your robot cards out of your kit and put green if you know what's going on, just for the group, orange if you are still uncertain, or red if you don't know what I said now.
Afternoon, colleagues. In our group, we concluded that the attendance was one of the successes. Then, in our workshops, the attendance was always very good. Then, secondly, almost all or many of our trainers used to be there and participate.
Right, table 7, give us 2 successes as well.
We had teamwork. The facilitators who were there at the training, they worked well together. They complemented each other's skills. Yeah. Then, and also we were well prepared.
Right, and then let's go to table number 1. Also give us 2 successes. Remember, not only focusing on facilitation, but also maybe the participants, if you can. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
Afternoon.
Okay, our successes was, the first one was the techniques. The teachers loved the technique part. As we introduced most of those
techniques.
Yeah, the techniques. Okay, the second one was the resources. When they were given the resources, they liked them very much.
Table 3, give us 2 more successes.
Successes with there was facilitated peer learning, and on the educator side there was improved planning.
Okay, thank you. Are you there, table 5? Right, give us 2 challenges that you faced.
One of the challenges we faced was the issue of time. Remember, the training was given to us in
period of over 3 days, and now we had to go and cascade it within like a 5-6 hour period. We wished that we had maybe 2 trainings per town, so that we can really make sure that the colleagues grasp the techniques and use them to the best of their abilities. And also, some colleagues mentioned that they had issues with some of the venues, that they were not thoroughly prepared. Some were too big for the crowd, and there was no availability of sound, cleanliness, and just overall preparedness for the training to take place.
Thank you. Table 4, give us 2 challenges, please.
Challenge number 1 is the teachers had a problem with integration of AM assessment for learning with the current practice that they are normally using in order for them to integrate to the new one.
Right.
So that is the challenge that they faced. Secondly, some sites, the principals did not release the owners of the union to participate to this training. They had issues with the time off that was issued.
Okay, going back to table 6, give us 2 challenges.
2 of the challenges, right, that we ran into was comrades who found the lesson plan template a bit too daunting. They felt that this lesson plan was kind of, extra, especially since they were only learning about the strategies and things at this moment, and they were like, whoa, listen, anyways. So, second barrier, look here, we don't only have people who speak Afrikaans in South Africa, you have communities where it's Xhosa, and we have communities where Afrikaans is the main language, So the language barrier was a bit of an issue, but as a challenge, as educators, we overcame that challenge by then having to, translate in.
Table 1, can you give us 2 challenges?
One of our challenges, it was the differentiation. Remember, we came with learning intentions and success criteria, whereas the teachers knows the objectives and blah, blah, blah. So we came with a new...
Okay.
Yeah, and then the second one was they couldn't formulate
questions.
The lessons between the CAPS and ATP to connect them to AFL.
In your groups again, what I would like you to do is take 5 minutes to discuss which strategies were the most challenging, or which strategies were the most successful, which strategies were challenging. Some of you have given us, we've got LIs and SCs and we've got lesson planning. So go, just discuss in your groups quickly with 5 minutes of those 3 strategies that you trained, which were successful, which were challenging, and of the techniques that you used, which were successful and which were challenging. And that will help us a great deal. Okay, I'm giving you 5 minutes just to talk about it, and we'll go and do a round robin with the name sticks again. Where art thou, table 3 there? I think somewhere there, table 3. Yes, your presenter. Give us 1 strategy that was a success and why, and 1 strategy that was a challenge and why. We've had 2 points made. Let me just remind you. The table there at the back said that planning and preparation was a problem because they couldn't integrate the lesson plan template with whatever they were using, right? And then we had this table here, table 1, which said that they couldn't articulate LIs and SCs using the CAPS document and the ATP. So we have that already. So don't repeat that, but can we have some other ones that you were challenged by? 1 success and one challenge. Thank you.
Educators enjoyed implementing the different strategies and questioning.
Right, just a reminder, a strategy is not a technique. I just want you to remind that. So really important. So we're talking about strategy, not techniques. Right, okay, thank you. And a challenge? What was the challenge?
Table 5, 1 success in terms of a strategy, 1 challenge in terms of a strategy.
You can apply all the techniques
With strategy
with
3.
that
Yes.
specific strategy.
Yes.
And then the one that we couldn't the most was FSA2 because, because of time, especially sharing the intentions and clarifying. You have learners coming from one class to your class and they take a sweet 5 minutes to get to your class. By the time they get to you, you only have 20 minutes and then take a while to get them to settle. This one is already fighting with that one, and then you must still, before you start your lesson, share your intentions and clarify what you need them to know by the end of the. By the time you get to the actual lesson, you don't have time. So that one was the most difficult.
Okay, so that was in actually when you were using the technique to teach.
Yes.
It wasn't in terms of the training of the
Not
technique
the
to
training,
other
but
teachers.
yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Right, well, I'm going to go one more group quickly. Table 2, 1 success with the strategy, 1 challenge with the strategy.
Okay, so the success, like the other group said now, was formal assessment strategy 3. They're using questions, discussions, and activities to obtain evidence of learning. Now, that's a good strategy to implement, and it was also fun for the educators once they realized that you could use those AFL techniques to actually to do those questions, stimulate those discussions. Because we were talking here and realized that the challenge that we had was actually, if you were to properly apply FAS1, you would have to know how to actually clarify and share your learning intentions, as well as how to use those questions to stimulate discussion.
Thank you very much, because I think that's an important point. I must just remember that, but maybe I should just say it now while I remember. That lesson plan that you have there, that template, incorporates all 6 strategies. If you notice that, that's the planning template, plus 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are included in some way or the other on that template. Thank you. Right, okay. I'm going to move on to techniques now. We've got an idea more or less. Table 2, which technique was successful and which was not?
When we look at the techniques, we look at the mini boards. We also look at how learners their voice became projective. Their own understanding, there was no intimidation. We also look in terms of where they had the name sticks, but we were focusing predominantly on the think, pair, and share, because now the teacher is not the dominant presence. The learner himself become the educator amongst each other, and they become now the curriculum designers and the memorandums to each other, because they connect at the level where they find themselves.
A more relaxing way, peers with each other.
That's right.
So three techniques you say did well: name sticks, mini response boards, and the think, pair, and share.
Yes.
Okay, challenges.
The challenges amongst that is that when they have to use the whiteboard or the mini board, some of them, they didn't have a high level of confidence, so they would shun away from projecting instead of whispering. They prefer to tell the teacher rather instead of writing it. And it's also about, do I spell the word correctly? Right. So now that also becomes an intimidation. We're also looking at the think, pair, of share, where they are not so confident where the answer really carries weight compared to their peers. So they were like, just, no, I will just listen, I will listen.
Okay.
So, but that challenge is also was eliminated, because now the teacher becomes now the equilibrium in terms of, your simple word still carries weight. So that's the affirmation, intermediate with that affirmation also brings a balance.
Thank you very much. Of course, the people who've sort of not implemented or still going to implement, I mean, you're getting some idea of how this works, right? Table 7, success with the technique or techniques, and challenges with the technique, right?
So basically, we identified formative assessment strategies 2 as our most successful, and the reason for that was when we introduced the learning intentions and success criteria, we just took them back to the terminology in the CAPS document. And therefore, they could make the link. Okay. So that was most successful for us.
Can I just be clear? CAPS, not ATPs. You went back to
ATPs and CAPS.
Thank you, right, ATPs.
So we consulted both documents, so therefore they could make the link that it's not something new, it's just using learner-friendly language.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And then in terms of the challenge, we identified the planning, phase 1, because when you look at the phase 1, it brings you to a whole lesson plan. But like you rightfully said, it encapsulates all 7 assessment strategies, and what we did was we broke it down so that at the end we could see how it fits as one.
This is how teaching is supposed to be. We are reflecting. Can you see reflection? And here's reflection in action. Am I visible? Right, okay, just a quick one. Keep your feet apart. Okay, stand like a ballerina. Don't be shy, man. It's okay. You're not a ballerina if you stand like this. Right, you begin to do some exercises, and we're going to spell letters with our body quickly. Okay, and let's see if you know. Let me see how you do it, because some of you will follow me. We're going to make a C. Please bend to the left and make a C. To the left. Look how you're following me. Your left. Other left. Teachers as a brief. Right. Okay. Right, you've got a C there, right? Put your hands together. You're making an O. We're going to bend to the right. Open your arms again. We're going to make an upside down C. Upside down C. Bend. Right. Join up together. You're going to make an O. Okay. Then put your arms like this. You're going to make an N. Okay. Put your hands up. You're going to make a U. And then stretch your arms like that and make a T. Right, you got it. So let's do that slowly. C, O, C, O, N, U, T. Again. C, O, C, O, N, U, T. Right, let's do it. C, O, C, O, N. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, eh. Let's go. C, O, C, O, N, U, T. Again. C, O, C, O, N, U, T. Well done. Just put your thumbs up if each table has a name stick. Right. We're going to give these name sticks another name. It's up to you to use whichever one you like. Thank you, groups. Right. You can call them talking sticks because it gives the child permission to talk. When I call your name, it gives a child permission to talk. Also, it's the no hands up rule. Because I know you keep wanting to put your hand up all the time. Just relax, okay? Your turn will come. Okay? This is one of the values of formative assessment, where every learner has an opportunity to answer a question. Just a couple of things. Just tell the learners they must write their names halfway. So pick a point halfway and write your name. Because the idea is you don't want to see the name when you pick up the stick. Halfway and then it's in the container. If they write the name right to the top, then you're going to see the name and you might pick it out. Halfway only. Write your name halfway only. Please do that now. If you want to save the name sticks, you can write with pencil. Ask the kids to write with pencil, or the participants to write with pencil, and that pencil can be erased. So you save the stick. So you're recycling and protecting the environment and lowering your carbon emissions. Is that clear? Okay. Another way to do it is you can take a piece of tape, you put it over the stick on the top there. They write their name with a permanent pen. It's done. When you finish, you just peel the tape off and you can use it again. So different ways of using the stick. Is that clear? I want to address the issue about some learners who are nervous. If they are nervous, they can use phone a friend to call somebody to answer the question. Because someone also told me this name sticks is like cold calling. Okay? If you create a positive learning environment where nobody laughs, if someone gives the wrong answer, then of course those learners who suffer from a little bit of nervousness will feel more relaxed. Okay, so I'm going to address a couple of things in an integrated way in terms of what you have raised. Is that clear?
Fortunately, I am at a school that's well resourced when it comes to digital tools. So what I normally do is I use Classroom Screen, and they have a randomizer. So you can upload your class list, and it runs on the screen. So it won't, like normally we say that we're not going to take out the stick, because in my scenario, I can't leave that on my table, sticks on my table, or because they will find a way to remove their name from there. So that works, or you can just use any randomizer website. upload your class list, and every time they even have like a tractor or things or crane, and then it, you know, it runs and then the name pops up. So it's, if you're gonna go the AI way or digital tools, then that's an idea.
So basically I just changed the name and I don't use name sticks, I just use number sticks basically because it makes it the effort a little bit less, and then you can just number it from 1 to 50, and then you have a class list, and if you pull a number and if you see number 5, and then you can just check in the class list which number it is basically, because the kids know, sometimes they can peek, they know each other's names, so now you can have it for one class and then repeat it for the next class and so onwards. So basically that's what I do.
So let's look at the first strategy quickly, because let's address the issues that were raised.
We are learning to, number 1, understand how to use Formative Assessment Strategy 1, FAS 1. That is planning and preparing lessons that focus on learning. Number 2, to plan and prepare effective lessons. Number 3, to review the template provided to apply the formative assessment approach.
Thank you very much, Bevel. The next person is Umar. Umar, where are you?
I know I have achieved the learning intention when I can identify the learning listed in the curriculum. I can explain how the template should be used to plan and prepare my lesson. I can use the formative assessment lesson templates in my lesson.
Thank you very much, Umar. Right, okay, good. Loud and clear, but the people can hear. Now in the classroom, you're not going to have a microphone, right? So again, you can pick up a lot of things there. Is the learner struggling to read? Already make a mental note. Because this is the read aloud technique. Okay, make a mental note. That kid is struggling, maybe stuttering. They may need other kinds of interventions as well. That's picking up a kind of learning barrier. Okay, because people ask me how is this helping learning barriers? Your techniques are going to help you pick up learning barriers. You're picking up evidence of learning. Remember, formative assessment is about picking up evidence of learning to move the learners from where they are to where they need to be. I want you all to read the LI together, starting with saying learning intentions. 1, 2, 3. Page 36.
We are learning to 1. Understand how to use formative assessment as one that is learning and preparing lessons. 3.
Thank you. Right, let's do that with the success criteria now. 1, 2, 3.
Success criteria. I know I have achieved the learning intentions when 1. I can identify the learning necessities. 2. I can explain how it should be used to plan and prepare lessons. 3. I can use the formative.
Thank you so much. Right, Jessica, are you here, Jessica? Right, Jessica, did you do training of teachers? Were you weren't one of them? That's okay, doesn't matter. I just want to find somebody. Tashwin, did you train?
Yes.
You did train teachers, right? Okay. So when you look at the learning intentions as a success criteria, what is different from objective and assessment criteria? What do you think, if you remember what we trained you the last time?
Okay, so the learning intention is the idea behind why you are giving them a certain topic or information to deal with. And then the objective would be something similar to the success criteria. Because if you have an objective in mind, then that is where you will determine where the successes lie.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, okay, good. Right, okay. I still want a little bit more.
Basically, the learning intentions are what you do, and then the success criteria is what you will learn at the end of what you do.
Thank you very much for that.
When we use formative assessment, we are writing with the learner in mind. Make a note of that. We are writing with the learner in mind. So when we say we are learning to, the learners are saying we are learning to. With a lesson objective, you might have said the learners will be able to, which is writing with the teacher in mind. Whereas when we talk of formative assessment, we are writing with the learner in mind. When we look at the success criteria, it's saying I can. So the learner can measure themselves if they've achieved the learning intention. You as learners now, you can ask yourself, can I identify the learners listed in the curriculum? So if you're using CAPS and ATPs, can I use the CAPS and ATPs to actually identify what needs to be learned? So it's written with you in mind, learner-centered approach. Please remember that. Written with the learner in mind.
When I introduce the success criteria to my learners, they know it's a verb.
Right.
I can read.
Right.
I can write.
Right.
So there will be a
Action.
verb.
Yes.
Yeah, action.
Yeah, there'll be an action.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. There are instances where you use a verb for the learning intention as well because it comes from the curriculum. Just remember that. I want you all to go to page 40 of your books. And I want especially the people who haven't trained to look at that. And I'm giving you 5 minutes to look at that template, the filled in template. And I'm giving you 5 minutes to talk to each other about it. Right. Tashwin, I'm coming to you. In your group, you discussed the challenge with that template, right? Just explain to us a little bit more in detail, if you can, if the microphone can go to Tashwin, please, on table 2.
One of the positive takeaways that we had from this lesson template was that it accommodates well for those subjects that have a lot of these little details to go into, like technology and natural science and those and mathematics and those type of things. But one of the challenges we noticed is that it gets a bit tricky when you deal with things like language.
Yeah.
Especially when you deal with, let's say, if you're trying to be in the foundation phase and also apply these type of things.
Yeah.
My colleagues were saying that, what about the fact that you have to incorporate reading time and all these other things? And then also, certain educators had problems with, okay, now I see these things have to be in here, but what about the things that I usually do? And where do I add those things in? Those were the only issues that came up.
Okay, right. So let's start with that last part. Well, how do I include the things that are not in there? Okay, and let's see if someone can help us. It's you again, Tashwin. Right. Okay, so what idea do you have about incorporating? Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be the right answer, but give us an idea that might have just sprung up in your mind.
No, actually, we discussed that point as well, and
Yeah.
my colleague Sharon pointed out that when you have the digital version of the template, which
Yeah.
we are going to be privy to, spoiler, yeah, then you can actually just add some more columns here and there
Right.
to wherever you feel appropriate.
Thank you. So that's a very important point, Tashwin. Thank you for you may sit down. Because the idea is that the subject advisors or your HOD might want a particular way. And that's what they keep telling me. So it's a way to negotiate. I'm not sure how you do it, and I can't give you advice about that. But how can you integrate this template with yours? For us, the idea is we don't want you to be overburdened by doing a detailed plan. We wanted a one-pager. But if there's an insistence by the powers that be, then see if you can integrate. You can leave some things out, and you can leave some things in. It's up to you. Any other? Remember, you can raise your hands to ask a question. You can raise your hands to add a point.
Okay, I think the other thing, because we have a standard template that we are given per subject. In mathematics, we'll have maybe a standard that is saying what is the objective. So now, if you are using this, you can say what is the learning intention.
Thank you.
And then now there will be something at the bottom to say what is the activity. There will be an activity by the teacher. What will the teacher do?
Yes.
And then what will the learners do? And then there will be an activity. So in that activity, I think you will have it's a success criteria. The learners will know that they have learned something if they can do these sums that are given there. So I think that's the thing that we can add.
Thank you so much for that. There's a way to address some of the issues. Okay, and here's another hand up there.
I am a grade 1 teacher, and we are about four teachers in grade 1. We have about 40 learners in our classrooms, and the principal or the school, they want the planning to be the exact same, the bookwork need to be the exact same, but so they're also content driven. So by the end of the day, you submit your planning into the HOD, and the moment that you bring in something different or you want to try and change your lessons to focus on learning instead of content driven lessons, they don't want to sign off on your planning. And that's a big issue. And especially in the foundation phase, we need to follow a certain amount of book work. You're supposed to do 3 math activities, but all of them are wrong, and you only have like 5 learners who have successfully grasped, and it's only because they've learned it at home, not here in your classroom. You have to focus on the activities, and you have to focus on is your all your work marked every day? Has your learners gotten feedback with little, ticks?
Symbols.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the learners count all their ticks instead of, I have 122 ticks, more than you. I have 50 stickers in my book, but none of them can come tell me what they have learned.
We understand the challenges that you're experiencing. The problem is that we have is that DBE made a decision that this is what they were going to do. They were going to support and implement assessment for learning. They're a bit slow on the uptake. And to tell you the truth, it's the unions that's showing the way in terms of this can be done. And so what we are currently busy doing that is why I showed you what is our idea of systemic implementation. You've got to train the teacher. You must also train the SMT and the principal so that the principal understands what it is that you are busy doing. Then you must also train the subject advisors, because if you want systemic implementation, those are the 3 components that's going to be important. So we understand that the challenges that you are experiencing, but the challenge you are experiencing is because we have taken the lead in terms of seeing the potential that it has to make the difference within our classrooms. Because if we're going to go on the way we're going on, chasing targets, chasing symbols, we're neglecting learning in the classroom. And so the powers that be is not concerned about that at this moment in time, because they are still going on the summative assessment route. So we are currently busy with the department, that we as the unions and the department, we're going to roll this out nationally. But it's taking time. And so the time will come when the subject advisors and your SMTs, because we're also training principals now, so that principals understand. The ideal would be to train the whole staff, because the whole staff must be doing if you want to see the impact, everyone needs to do the same thing. Whether it's a geography teacher, whether it's a life sciences teacher, everyone should be having the same approach. So all I can tell you now is that we're working on that. It's going to take time, because we've been having meetings with DB in terms of we took the lead to actually have the relationship with Anil. But Anil also did some work with in the Western Cape as well, and in a number of provinces, and we demonstrated that this can work. But the wheels in the department it's very slow. So what I can answer you at this moment in time, it's coming. In the meantime, we need to try to ensure that we capacitate as many principals as possible, as many SMTs as possible, so that they can understand what it is that you're doing in the classroom. Because we cannot go on the way we're going on, because our learners are not learning. And we are concerned about compliance. Did you tick? When the subject advisor comes, he ticks off. Did you cover the curriculum? Did you do that? Did you do that? It is the blue books. challenges, and so we are working on it. We just hope that DBE will come to the party earlier than later.
So we show that evidence to DBE. The positive stuff, I have to say, as Vasika was saying. The disadvantage, the unions are taking the lead. 2 points you can activate. National Assessment Circular number 3 of 2021 calls for the implementation of formative assessment in the class with very clear guidelines. And VP, every SACTU member should have that. The National Assessment Circular number 3 of 2021. It says the implementation of formative guidelines. And it's the first time that the policy which calls for formative but promotes summative, which we call assessment focused, measurement driven.
Just keep your fingers on page 36 and page 40. Can you see on page 36 all the strategies are there? Right, now this is for those people who are unfamiliar, and the people who have more experience in your group can help you out. You can talk about it. Look at the number 1 there. I'm going to tell you about that one, and I'm going to give you one example, and then you're going to do the rest. Can you see FAS planning and preparing lessons that focus on learning? So on the template, there isn't a section for that. The template is FAS 1. Can you see FAS 5 there? It says peer assessment on page 36. Right? And go to your template and find peer assessment there. Peer, it says peer. Put your finger on it. Put your finger on it, can you see? Put your finger on the word peer. And it's asking you whether you're going to use self or peer assessment for this lesson, or you're not going to use it at all. So we give you that option. Because you can't use every strategy, you can't use every technique in every lesson. You might want to use peer for this one, you might want to use self for that one. So look at the other, except for number 7 now, look at all the other strategies that I haven't spoken about and see if you can find on that template where they are. And then share that information, talk to each other and talk about it. It's okay, you don't have to do it on your own. Can you see how the strategies are incorporated into the template?
Feedback is information students and teachers share during learning, so that students can close the gap between their current level of performance and the learning goals.
So we're going on to FAS 2. Yeah, Marshall, right at the bottom of page 43, or you can look on, I'll put it up on the screen. Can you read us the learning intention for us, please?
State FAS 2, 1, state FAS 2. Number 2, define learning intentions. Number 3, define success criteria. 4, write learning intentions. 5, write success criteria. And 6, use the LI and SC in my lessons.
Thank you very much, Marshall. Someone else will read the success criteria. So in this workshop, number 6 we can't achieve because that means you have to do it in the classroom. So number 6 we can't do now, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we can do today. I'm going to test your reading skills on your own. I want you to go to page 44, okay, and page 45. I want you to scan. Look at the important things. Look at the headings. Look at the bullet points. Look at the diagram. I'm giving you about 10 minutes to do that. When you are done, then just quickly share with each other in 2 minutes 1 or 2 points about what you've picked up. The success criteria. What is a success criterion? I have my learning intention and I try to explain it like this. Imagine there's a stage there in front of you and there are the steps to get to that stage. The learning intention is the top of the stage. The success criteria of what I have to do, what evidence I have to show you to show that I've achieved the learning intention. The learning intention can be quite broad, but the success criteria must be specific. The relevance of learning intentions is that it allows learners to take responsibility for their own learning. True or false? True or false? The success criterion must be linked to the learning intention. Which of these? Is it the learning intention or the success criteria that allow learning to be scaffolded? Tell us where it is. Okay, point us, tell us where it is. 6.3 and where? Right, learning is scaffolded. Is that clear? So there's a board technique, and you've gone through, you've scanned through, you've got the idea of a learning intention, you've got the idea of a success criterion, and now you can see some of the benefits of both. I hope you've seen that. I'm not going to go through that in detail. It's something you can read on your own. Is that clear? Because you've trained this already. There's a value attached to formative assessment. It's just not an ordinary pedagogy. It's about democracy, that everybody gets a chance to participate. It's about equity. Right? All learners have ability to learn. It's about how you create that. It's like, I don't know if you've seen that picture, what equity means. Is that how you actually, if someone's looking over a fence and then they are shorter, what you do is you put a few boxes up so they can all see the soccer match or whatever. Can you see what I mean? Really important. It's about collaboration. That's a value there, really important. It's about a growth mindset. It's about wanting to do something different. If we don't do something different, and how can you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result? My view is, as a teacher, your job is not only to teach content, is to teach learners how to learn using the content. It's how to learn, so when they leave you, they are able to learn on their own, or be able to have the confidence to ask someone for help or things like that. That's really, I think in Fasika's presentation, you saw some of those issues being raised, okay? It's also about helping people learn to read, or checking, or identifying. So remember, gathering evidence of learning.
Does that mean now, if my lesson was successful today, or according to the AFL that I was implementing, then I'm not wrong to say now, your homework page to see that, because that homework is aligned with, you said, most the learners said, no, now we can identify this fraction, the success, their success was the success, I can. Yeah. Now I can give this activity so that tomorrow I can check, they can assess each other and check if what they said they can really can.
Yes. Firstly, very important point as well. They can check for themselves if they can. If you're going to use a peer assessment process, then of course there are guidelines on how to do it. You can't just say check each other's work just like that, because that's not how formative assessment tells you to do peer assessment. I want to just go through a couple of things, right? Remember, is that in your learning intention, what they must know, what they must understand, and what they must do. It can be a combination of all three, or it can be one, or it can be two. They can learn some knowledge that they need to have. They need to have an understanding of that knowledge, or it's a skill, like I should be able to, I can draw a bar graph. I can label the axes of a bar graph, or things like that. You break them down. So that's the types of learning intention. Firstly, your learning intention must come from CAPS or ATPs. You don't thumb suck it. Okay? Number two, it must be clear. Your learning intention must be clear. It's not about the activity. It must be learner friendly. And if it can, because this is the part I find that teachers find quite difficult, even I find it difficult, it must be context free, if it can be. Keep it simple for the beginning and see if you can practice writing context free intentions in the. Do you get the difference? It's not about baking a cake, or it's about being able to write instructions, period. I can write instructions for anything. How to braid someone's hair, for example. But I know the steps. I know instructions have steps. Can you see the bottom there? How you can start learning intentions off. And this is not prescriptive, please. It's just ideas. We are learning to know that. We are learning to understand how or why. We are learning to develop. We are learning to create. We are learning to draw. Now, draw can also be a verb for success criterion as well. So some of them might be interchangeable. Because I can't say, okay, you can't use a verb for learning intention. You'll see how with CAPS sometimes you have to do that. Let's go to success criteria there. All success criteria must be linked to the learning intention. Can you see that? Right? They are derived from the assessment criteria in your book. Now, I want to focus on that now. When we started off with planning, okay, we talked about planning. And this is how we designed the book. Okay, let's start with page 27. I just want to show you what we did. Page 27, everybody. Can you see on that table there, we use learning objectives and assessment criteria. And then when we went to planning as well, we used learning objectives and assessment criteria. Can you see that? Right, but look what we've done now. When we move on to clarifying and sharing learning intentions, we now are focusing on learning intentions and success criteria. The reason we did that is to say this is how it was in the past, objectives and assessment criteria. Now we're saying when you're using formative assessment, you are going to do learning intentions and success criteria. Learning intentions come from the CAPS, and as Prof explained, you're going to see how the new curriculum is going to change, making it easier for you to access learning intentions and success criteria. I want you to look at on the screen there. Okay, what do you see flying around? A butterfly. Right, okay, so you've seen this before. I'm repeating some of the things because this you did 2023. You need to be able to distinguish between the LI and the activity. Your activity must achieve the learning intention and success criteria. In this particular example, the lesson is about colors, about identifying colors. But the teacher is using a butterfly to show that. Is the lesson about butterflies? Don't answer the question. Is the lesson about butterflies? What did I say the lesson was about? Colors. Thank you. Here's the critical thing. So your success criteria are not about the butterfly. Your success criteria are about the colors. I can point to the different colors. I can name the different colors on the butterfly. It's not about the butterfly. And you really have to be clear about this. The activity is used to achieve the learning intention. Success criteria are incorporated into the activity. I can. Are you getting it? Right. Now I'm going to take you through a few examples, and of course I'll show you a FET example as well. Okay, here's foundation phase mathematics. This has come from the ATPs. I'm hoping it's the recent one, I think. But 2023, I don't know if there's any new ones, but it doesn't matter. It's describe and compare numbers up to 500, smaller than and greater than, and describe and order numbers from smallest to greatest and greatest to smallest. Okay, and that comes from ATP grade 3 term 2. This is in your books, I think. You can follow in the books. I'm just going to talk you through it. Look at the example there. We are learning to describe numbers, order numbers, and compare numbers. We are using a verb in the learning intention. Can I see sometimes you need to use the verb there? Okay, it might not be broad enough. Look at the success criteria. I have achieved the learning intention when I can identify the numbers, I can say the number name, I can write the number name. That's about describing the numbers. Can you see that? I'm specifying now. I can order numbers from greatest to smallest. I can order number from smallest to greatest. I can state which numbers are smaller than. I can state which numbers are greater than. And the activity they're going to complete is an exercise on ordering and describing numbers in their mathematics workbooks. That's just an example, because obviously you might be doing your lesson some other way. Are we together? Right, okay. So can you see, count the number of success criteria there? Just count the bullet points. Now you might not be able to achieve that in one period. What you need to understand, that one lesson does not mean one period. One lesson can be 4 or 5 periods. But you repeat that each time if you're doing a part of that, day 1, period 1, you do it. Then if you're doing another part, repeat and say, in period 2, we're doing this. But it's the same thing there. You can even break it up if you want. You can say, describe numbers, 1 period. You can break it up. You can do order numbers, another period. You can do compare numbers, another period as well. You can break it up. Just to remind you that a lesson is not 1 period. Please make a note of that. A lesson can be more than 1 period. Okay, I'm going to do a science one quickly. What I liked about the science ATPs, the math is really, if you combine your ATPs with the maths caps, math is so nicely done. The maths cap is so thick. Okay, and then you have your ATPs. And our suggestion is don't use ATPs alone. Use ATPs in conjunction with your caps, because the caps math is really detailed. Okay, but now I see the ATPs. They've got do informal assessment at the bottom. They've got a whole lot of detail there as well. This is the natural sciences in caps. And we're going to talk about the example that we spoke about, the plants there. And there's grade 4. And I'm hoping these things work. But anyway, let me go back there. There's a structure of plants there. And what I liked about the natural sciences curriculum is they gave assessment criteria, assessment guidelines. And what they only wanted was the learners should be able to identify and describe the parts of a plant. In terms of the teaching, they do ask about the functions in the textbook. But in terms of the assessment guidelines, they're asking only about identify and describe the parts of the plant. Someone asked me to put this in afterwards, is assessment for learning in multi-grade classrooms, and I think Mem tried to say how it actually worked there. So assessment for learning can be used in a multi-grade classroom. But again, it requires your imagination as well, knowing AFL thoroughly and seeing how you can apply it. Okay? It's about a lot of planning there as well. And here's a nice one there. How am I? Someone said, am I doing a good job? It's about the success criteria. I can. My success criteria. So that's the way you measure yourself. Okay? Am I doing a good job? Are you achieving the success criteria when you train others? Okay? I'm hoping you can see how AFL will help learners acquire useful skills. Okay? And again, remember I mentioned the value of formative assessment. These kinds of things they can take with them for the rest of their lives. It's about self-actualizing, learning independently. Because you do know that we have a high failure rate at first-year university. And it's because maybe learners don't know how to learn themselves. Because I'm not saying content is not important, but we are too content-driven. Is that how do we use the context to teach learners how to learn for the rest of their lives? Okay, and someone asked me about outcomes-based education. If you go to your CAPS, there are 7 critical outcomes which are integrated with life. How to solve problems, how to work in a team. That's what your teaching is supposed to be doing. Those are, Becky, those could be your context-free learning intentions, broadly speaking. Every CAPS document has this page with the 7 essential outcomes, if I'm not mistaken. So okay. Right, so I'm not going to go through all of them. Large classes, again, there's always going to be a challenge. But if you don't start, if you already be negative about large classes, it's by doing you become more inventive. Okay, so thanks. It's by doing you become more inventive. You do it, you don't succeed. Remember the word fail, F-A-I-L. Right? You know what it means? First action in learning. When you rode a bike, did you fall down initially? Those of you can ride a bike, right? Did you get up and carry on? Right. So, try things out with AFL and learn from your experience. You are innovative enough. You've got years and years of teaching experience except for the students. I'm hoping that these students are absorbing like sponges from you. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to move on here. Is Tashwan back? So Tashwan, do you think we've addressed that issue about, was it you or was it another group? Allies and SCs, it was this group, isn't it? Right, can you see, have I addressed it in a way? Right, okay. And Tashwan, about the lesson planning, I think we've, in a way, I'm not saying we found a solution, but Prof did give an idea about how you put the AFL lesson plan underneath. And so now you're going to do an activity on your own. I hope you have your own CAPS documents with you, your all ATPs. If not, you can check on your phone, look on the internet and find them. Is that clear? And you're going to practice writing a learning intention for a topic you are going to teach at the beginning of next term. So that now you know you've already got a learning intention and success criteria for that topic. Okay, look at page 52. Quickly scan with your fingers page 52. You're going to take out your curriculum. If you can use both ATPs and your CAPS document. And you're going to choose a topic. You're going to write learning intention for that. You're going to write success criteria for that topic. Just about 3 or 4 or 2, it doesn't matter. We want you to practice. And then you're going to assess each other initially. You're going to share. It doesn't matter if they don't know the subject. Okay, they will be able to see the topic, they'll be able to see the learning intention and see if your success criteria actually achieve the learning intention. Because you know a lot of things. It doesn't mean you don't know math or something, but you do know learning intentions and success criteria. So you're going to do this on your own when you are done. If you're not finished today, it does not matter. Take your time and do it properly. Tomorrow we will start with that. Is take one robot card out of your packet and put a green one if you know what's going on, because we're going to be walking around and using the robot cards. Put an orange one if you're not sure. And if now you don't know what to do, just put a red card and we'll come and start you off from scratch. Okay, right. Because there are some people who are new, and that's okay. Yeah, just hold it up there, Jean-Ray. Those are your robot cards, green, red, and orange. Okay, thank you. If you are new to this whole process, put an N in the right-hand corner. Put, what was it? An M if you were the master trainer. That means you got training as a master trainer. Put T if you were trained by a master trainer. And put SMT and MT or whatever if you attended SMT if you attended the SMT training. But some attended both. It's fine. Put SMT if you attended SMT training, but you didn't attend the master training. Is that clear? Okay. Right. Now on that exit ticket, write that learning intention and the success criteria that you got there in your book. How far you've gotten, put it down. That example that you just did, learning intentions and success criteria, you're going to write it down. You can use both sides of the piece of paper. And then thank you very much for being here today. I really enjoyed the engagement. Thank you for your participation.
Learning goals and success criteria are critical pieces of information students need to be successful learners. Students and teachers must hold a common understanding of what is to be learned and what successful achievement looks like. With explicit goals and criteria, students have the beginnings of what they need to become independent, self-monitoring learners. When performing a task to demonstrate their knowledge and skills, students use success criteria to make judgments about the quality of their performance. Success criteria define, for students, what they are striving to achieve, so it is critical to their success that they have a clear understanding of the criteria. Communicating the criteria to students orally or in writing is a sharing strategy commonly used in classrooms.
Welcome to the workshop today. So we're going to go back to clarifying and sharing learning intentions and success criteria. That's where we ended yesterday. And then we collected your exit tickets. Clarifying and sharing learning intentions is the second formative assessment strategy. And we're going to focus on that because what you need to understand, there's your planning and preparation. That's very important, right? But in terms of the strategies themselves, this part here is really important because every single star underneath this big sun here is linked to FAS2. You cannot do questions without knowing what you are going to teach. You can't provide feedback unless you know what you're giving feedback on. If they're doing peer assessment, they are also linking it to the success criteria. If they're doing their own assessment for themselves, they are also linking it to the success criteria. So this FAS2 is really, really important for FAS 3, 4, 5, and 6. All of these are linked to FAS2. Your success criteria must be specific. The lesson here is not about butterflies. It is about color. Now again, you have the knowledge. Please don't stress. If you know what the learners need to learn by the end of the lesson, you know your success criteria. and then work from there to get a learning intention which is broad. We learned about aim and learning objectives. Who can remember that? Aim and learning objectives, right? If you write an objective, it must be written in such a way that it could be a question in the test. State the theorem of Pythagoras. So learners, at the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to state the theorem of Pythagoras. And there's your question in a test. State the theorem of Pythagoras. The learners will be able to calculate what? There's it. Calculate the hypotenuse of this particular triangle using the theorem of Pythagoras. So that will become a question. But now we're not writing it for the teacher in mind. We are writing this with the learner in mind. And so we're saying, I can state the theorem of Pythagoras. I can calculate a sum using the theorem of Pythagoras. Okay, specific. Okay? We are learning to understand the theorem of Pythagoras. But I don't use the word I understand in the success criteria. I say state. I say calculate. And that's what we found in your exit tickets is there's a confusion. Do not repeat the LI statement in the SC where possible. There are some instances, yes, where you're going to do that, but mostly don't. That's why they say planning, design downwards. What you're going to do is we're going to give each table a flip chart paper. You're going to share, of course, your LI and SC, and you're going to choose one that you're going to write onto a flip chart paper. Is that clear? Okay, so we'll give out a flip chart paper. You've got pens in your kit, and then you can write one person's LI and SC on that chart, and then I'll tell you what to do next. So first start on your own, review your own LI and SC, or practice a new one. Because I'm sure you tell the learners, try another example, isn't it? Try another example. Why are teachers so afraid to do another example? Where do you want the children to do it? Try another one if possible. Otherwise, review the one you've done and then choose one amongst your group. Please just write the topic on top of your chart and the grade. The subject, the topic, and the grade on top of your chart, and then write the LI and SC. So on your chart, write down the subject, the topic, and the grade, and then do the LI and SC. Is that clear? Thank you, and we'll come around to help you. You can take your robot cards out if you like, and then put the green, the orange, or the red, and we'll come around and help you out. Thank you. Please look at page 52. Right, you'll see on page 52, you see topic 1. There's a topic, the learning intention. Can you see that word learning intention there? Underneath that, write we are learning to in brackets. We, W-A-L-T. So now you know that's the learning intention. Right? Under the success criteria, you don't have to write, I know I have achieved the learning intention when I can. Just write, I can. Right? So under the success criteria, write, I can. Okay, you got it? Right? Okay, we'll help you if you didn't. Now, look at the table where your checklist. Does the learning intention focus on the curriculum objective? That means it comes from the curriculum. Look at the one. Can it be achieved in one lesson? Is one lesson one period sometimes? Yes. Is one lesson more than one period sometimes? Right, good, okay. Is it written in a language that learners would understand? So foundation phase, where are the foundation phase teachers? Right. In grade 1, some of them have never been to a grade R class. And so you're still learning to read, isn't it? So sometimes you don't have to make them read. You can tell them what we're going to learn. And when the lesson is over, children, I want you to be able to tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. What did Thabo do in the story? Okay? I can explain, because you are going to explain to me what happened in the story. Things like you're going to tell them. If they cannot read, you can tell them the learning intention. You can tell them the success criteria. Starts with the words we are learning to. We are learning to. Let's look at the success criteria. Are the success criteria linked to a learning intention? Page 52. Can you see that? Are they specific to an activity? Like that activity with the butterflies, it's about colors. So that's important there. It starts with I know I have achieved the learning intention when I can, or I can. And it does not repeat the learning intention. Look at that table there. It tells you how to check your own learning intention and success criteria. Okay, so we'll come around. As I said, take your robot cards out if you need us. Put the color there. If you don't need us, put green. It doesn't mean if you see green, we won't stop. We'll check if you really know what you're doing.
Yes.
Thumbs up if you're done with your charts. Thumbs up. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Right. Please go to page 106 of your book. Page 106. We are going to quickly go through the steps of using peer assessment. We're integrating two activities now together. Okay? Adrian, please read us the step number 1 and the description on the side there, please. Page 106. Reads.
Assess the level of understanding against your success criteria. And the process involves each peer's work must be assessed against the SC of the lesson. Peers can use symbols that learners are familiar with to provide feedback, not ticks and crosses. Look at the example of symbols on section 8.3.
We'll go there just now. Carry on.
Learners can also use traffic dots, green dots indicate what was done well, yellow dots indicating that by changing certain aspects of the work, that will be then improved. Red dots mean the work needs to be substantially improved.
Right, loud and clear, Adrian. You really showed us you can read. Thank you very much.
I love reading.
You love reading. Right. Okay. Supposible. Oh, right. Read number 2 for us, supposible.
When giving feedback, the peer points out to her or his response partner what was done well using examples of sentences that start like this. You did good work when you are good at.
Thank you very much, Sipo. Good. Okay, and we have Tandekile. Tandekile, read number 3 for us, please.
You could get some help with. You could improve. The criteria you didn't achieve are.
Thank you very much. Anati, I'm not sure which Anati this is. Anati, this person writes her eye or his eye with a circle on top of the eye. Which Anati is that?
This one.
Okay, right, Anati. Right, because there are 2 Anatis. Right, Anati. Yeah. Do you write, do you put a circle over your eye? You wrote Anati S. Okay, so is this Anati? Anati, read number 4 for us.
1. Respect your partner's work. 2. Remember your feedback must be linked to the SC. 3. Tell your partner what is good about their work. 4. Listen carefully to your partner's explanations and suggestions. 5. Look for a way.
We can't hear you, Anati. Use your teacher's voice, please.
6. Make your suggestions as clear as possible. 7. Be fair to your partner. 8. Do not discuss your partner's work with other learners.
Thank you. Right. So we're going to use some elements of that. We're not going to use symbols for this particular activity that I'm going to ask you to do. Is that clear? Okay, you're not going to use colors or dots or anything like that for this particular activity, but you are going to give constructive feedback. Are we together? Right? I'll tell you now what we're going to do. The idea of formative assessment is not judgment. Not to make other people feel little, belittle them and all of that. It's something that learners must leave the school with that attitude. Because nowadays with TikTok and all of that, there's so much trolling going on. And we need to start with our learners to say that's not acceptable. Table 1, give your chart to table 2. Table 2, give your chart to table 3. Table 3, give your poster to table 4. Table 4, give your poster to table 5. Table 5, give your poster to table 6. And table 6, give your poster to table 7. Table 7, give it to table 1. People, before you start, listen to my instructions. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Right. Please go to page 52. Okay. At the bottom, there's a checklist, right? So, listen to me carefully, otherwise you're not going to know what to do. Settle down and listen to me. Thank you. Right. Is that if there's space at the bottom of the poster, you can do this, otherwise turn the poster over. Right. If you look at page 52, you can see LI. Can you see that, the learning intentions? Then it asks you, It asks you yes or no for each item. Can you see that? Right, then it says success criteria and asks you yes or no for each item. Now listen to me carefully. Please listen carefully. So I want you to write LI 1, 2, 3, 4 at the back. Don't start now. Let me just tell you what to do. You write SC 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are you with me? Then you write yes, no, or unsure. Yeah, a Y, an N, or a U, wherever you think. But I don't want you to comment on each one. I just want you to give a comment like we just read about how you do peer assessment. Is that clear? Okay, you're going to give a comment to the group. What they did well, what they could improve, and how they could improve it. So an example would be, I like the way your success criteria were linked to the learning intention. Okay, that's what you did well. Okay, or that your learning intention came from a curriculum or something like that, right? Because you have to take that off. Then you could say, please go and read page, if you want to give them some help, go and read page so and so where it tells you how to practice writing learning intentions on success criteria. Then what you are doing is, when you give feedback to people, you are also helping them find a way to do the next step. Not just assessing and saying good and bad and whatever. What you liked, what could be improved, and how they could improve it. If necessary. If necessary. Right, we will go around and come and help you, but let me repeat again. At the back of your poster or at the bottom, write LI 1, 2, 3, 4. Write SC 1, 2, 3, 4. Using page 52 as your guide, yes, no, or unsure, and one overall comment about how you give peer assessment to that group. You look at the feedback. Obviously, you can decide whether you agree with it or not. Because you'll see people have given you comments, right? Whether it meets the learning intention, whether it meets the criteria for the success criteria. That's a checklist. Did they give you a comment that validated what was good? Did they give you a comment about where you could improve, where necessary, if there was? And did they tell you how to do the improvement, if necessary? Is that clear? That's all I want you to discuss in your group for 5 minutes. Then we're moving on. Thank you. And you're going to have to practice and practice and practice. And let me remind you how it's done. You start off by knowing what the learners must demonstrate to you that they've achieved the learning intention. Okay, please understand that that's where you start. Once you know that, you've got your success criteria down. Yeah. So you start by saying, when you're reflecting on your lesson, I'm planning this lesson, what do I want my learners to show me that they've achieved? Let me put it this way. What do I want my learners to know so it shows me they've understood the concept? That word concept is important, right? Okay, so this is what I want them to say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Then I know they've achieved the concept. So once you know that you've got your I cans done, now you say, right, what are we doing? We are learning to understand perimeter. We are learning to understand the theorem of Pythagoras. We are learning to understand the structure of plants. Why? They're identifying, one must identify the parts of the plant, they must label the parts of the plant, they must actually tell me the functions of the part of the plant. That's what I want them to show me. What am I doing? My learning intention is we are learning to understand the structure of plants. Pardon? Or to draw and label. Draw and label a plant. Whatever, you know your curriculum. You know your curriculum, you know what you want. And you can work that way. Okay, so that's the best way for me to help you understand success criteria. Now, let's go to page 54. I want to show you a high school example. Are there any high school teachers here? High school? Yes, okay. Adrian, I thought he was foundation phase. Hey, Adrian is high school. Oh, I thought you said Adrian. Thank you, Baya, thank you. Right. Okay, here's a geography example. I'm not going to do more. Okay, it's about earthquakes and the lessons in total must take 4 hours. Maybe about 8 periods, depending on your school. Okay. Bye, donkey, Adrian. Okay. Right, so this is what's in caps, how and where earthquakes occur. The relationships between earthquakes and tectonic forces, measuring and predicting earthquakes is very difficult to do, but you know how earthquakes and tsunamis affect people in settlements, differences in vulnerability. Nice one. That's really nice high order thinking question. Because if you live in Vanuatu, which is a very poor country, it's a developing country, they had a volcano that exploded and then a tsunami hit. Whereas if a tsunami hits Japan and Vanuatu, you already know there's going to be a different response, isn't it? Right. So that's a really nice higher order thinking question there. Strategies to reduce the impact of earthquakes. Case examples of the effects of selected earthquakes. Now remember, this is not a perfect science. Welcome. All right. We are learning to understand earthquakes. Okay? Explain how and where earthquakes occur. Right? Describe the relationship between earthquakes and tectonic forces. So, for me, that's quite specific in a way. You don't have to elaborate, I think, how they must describe it always. This is what we need them to do. Name the instrument, and name the instrument would be one. Describe how to measure and predict earthquakes. Okay? Maybe predict should be the word there. Okay, mention how earthquakes and tsunamis affect people and settlements. Yeah, differences in vulnerability. Okay, that's fine. Write strategies to reduce the impact of earthquakes. Discuss case examples of the effects of selected earthquakes. Right, and I mean, one of the biggest ones we know about was in 2004 in Aceh in Indonesia. That tsunami killed over 200,000 people. In Japan, there was another one in 2011, and that one in Japan killed over 18,000 people. Okay. Indonesia is regarded as a developing country. Japan is regarded as a developed country. Again, a nice high order thinking question there. You see, so think about that. So your SCs can help you also prepare your lessons where it includes higher order thinking. Learning intention and success criteria must be visible all the time.
Success criteria. I know I have achieved the learning intentions when I can state FSA 2. Define learning intention. 3. Define success criteria. 4. Write learning intentions. 5. Write success criteria. 6. Use the learning intentions and success criteria in my lessons.
Thank you so much, Luvuyo. Thank you for reading that. The idea is that you must be visible throughout the lesson. In your case, the LI and SC are in the book, so I can always tell you to go to that page and look at them. They'll always be there with you.
Success criteria. I know I have achieved the learning intentions when I can state FSA 2. Define learning intention. 3. Define success criteria. 4. Write learning intentions. 5. Write success criteria. 6. Use the learning intentions and success criteria in my lessons.
Thank you so much, Luvuyo. Thank you for reading that. Especially like foundation phase and all of that. You can write them onto a laminated chart like this. There are laminated charts in your kit. You want to look quickly, they're there. You'll see LI and SC charts in there. And then you can carry this from class to class.
I think ATP and CAPS guide us when we do the lesson. So it's a sort of a guide.
Right. Okay. Why don't you choose B? Let him answer.
I think B is part of success criteria.
Can you see what they're doing? Yes! They must understand the LI and SC. And you'll see we make you read them out, we can make you explain them and so on. Okay, and mainly for the master teachers, you've been through this. So just reinforcing what you have been trained. For the new people, look at that page 54 and read it carefully. Not today, but please look at it. As you notice, I began the lesson again today from yesterday by asking you to read the LIs and SCs again. And we're going to end the lesson by doing the same thing. So you can check for yourself whether you've achieved the learning intention, right? So that's what we're asking you to do. You can type out your LI and SC. So look at this chart here, if all of you can see it. It's an idea. You don't have to use it. Okay? Right. Is you got your LI there. You got your SC there. And next to it, you can leave blank portions to say, have I achieved the SC? When the lesson is over, this is pasted in their book. Okay? And then they can just address, understand, and they can write about what I need help with or the next steps, if necessary. Are you with me? And that, when you're marking the books, you know how useful that's going to be. Because if you notice that there's a U here or a no there or a U, and you'll see a number of learners have U or no or whatever, it's going to say, you know what, maybe let me just check again, verify, I may have to reteach a particular concept. You're gathering evidence of learning even using your LI and SC. So that's one way you can use this information. Is that understood? Any comments on that? Any inputs? Any criticisms? Because for phonics is, I can make the sound sh. I can write words with the sound sh. I can hear words with the sound. I can identify words with the sound sh. Phonics. But comprehension is something else completely. Right? Okay. So yes, you will do that separately for each. I don't know what you call it. Which concept you are teaching. Right. Okay. Good. Thank you for that, Tandekile. Yeah. Any other comments? Yes, Sally.
I just want to let you know that in the grade art classes,
Yeah.
remember learners can't read.
No, good, yeah.
So, what we are focusing on is like a real display. Then I will maybe ask the learners, just look at this table or at this picture. What do you think we're going to talk about today? So the learners will give me answers, and then I will say, you know what, at the end of the day, I will give it to them in my word. I want you to sort the winter clothes.
Yes.
And then we will have a discussion. So through the day, to make learners alert of what is expecting of them, I will ask them, just look quickly at the table for me. Can you still remember what are we going to talk about today?
Right.
And what I want you to do at the end of the day. So this is how we do it in grade art.
What a fantastic example of how learners can set success criteria for you. Brilliant example. How learners can tell you, and you can say, okay, right, yes, that's what we're looking for. That's what I'm expecting you to know at the end of this lesson. Learners will help you, can help you select success criteria. I think it's such a fantastic example. Thank you for that, Sally. And grade R. Grade R. Okay, thank you. Right, okay. Page 55, there's a case study. I'm giving you 5 minutes to look at it. I'm not going to go through it in detail. We are trying to model that approach in the last day and a half already, last day and today. So just go through it, scan through it on page 55 on your own. What we found, it takes a year or more to actually really be able to practice formative assessment successfully in your classrooms. Don't rush. Your first challenge obviously is to convince your school leaders, SMT, what you're doing. That's why we are training SMTs as well. So that when they come back to you, they will, I'll point to you now, Notera. Hopefully they will understand what you are doing. The reason was that when teachers did go back, the principals were reluctant to allow you to have the freedom to practice. And that's why SATU decided, you know what, we need training for SMTs as well. So the SMTs will be trained. The idea of training master teachers first was to train, first for you to implement in your own classrooms. Yes. Number 2 was to train your staff. Yes. Because if you train your staff, then you go and train other school staff.
I'm doing PLCs in my school.
Right, okay. So couldn't you find a way to say, let me help and mentor the grade 4 teacher as well? I'm just asking. You've done it, but they're not applying it. Is that why the learners are frustrated? Okay, so I've done this example if you wish. Let me just tell you what I did was, you don't have to print one sheet. You can print quite a few on one sheet, cut it out and paste it. That makes it easier for you, right? So you don't have to waste paper. And you can even use the back of waste paper as well. Okay. Page 44, everybody. LIs and SCs defined there for you. Okay? Yellow blocks. Why they are important, how they benefit learners. Then how to write learning intentions continues from there. Page 46, what makes for a good learning intention. Page 47, what makes for good success criteria. And as we continue, the different types of learning intentions and success criteria for different subjects. Please, all of you go to page 59 and assess yourself. Right on the top. Have I attained the success criteria for this particular section? Okay, I just want to check now. Let's go through some of the techniques we've learned. Okay, and I just want to ask you to tell us a few more. Right, okay. So we've got talking sticks already, which I'm using. Okay. We use thumbs up and thumbs down. Chiki, listen carefully. We've got two techniques already on the board. One is talking sticks and one is thumbs up. Give us another one that you've learnt about in this today, yesterday and today. Give us another one that you've learnt about. Mini boards. Right, you can write down mini boards. We haven't used them yet, but yes, that's one. Petunia, give us another technique we've used so far. Ball technique, basketball technique. Right, okay, thank you, Petunia. Thank Umar for giving you the answer there. Yeah, give us another one, Veronica. We've got talking sticks, thumbs up, mini board. We call it a buzz board now, yes? Exit tickets. Well done, thank you. Are there any more? I can't remember now myself. Lucinda, is there another technique that we have used? But yes, there is one more. Robot cards. There's still one more there. One more technique. Let me give you a clue. When we start a section, I take out a name stick and I ask you to read these things. What do I first ask you to read? Right in the beginning of the section, in the middle of the section, at the end of the section. What do I make you read? Right at the beginning, because this tells the learner what we are. Let her talk, yes? And? Right, that's what we always do. I make you read them. Right? How do I make you read them? Aloud. We make you read them aloud. That's another technique. Read aloud technique. Right? Read aloud. Okay. Okay. Right, so we've got quite a few there. Okay. In your kit, take out a Koki pen and take out one of those blue boards at the back. Calling it a buzz board because I checked on the internet, it's called a buzz board, but you can call it a mini response board. Sometimes it's not always white, so some people might just call it a white board. Okay, there are different types. Most expensive can be those other ones where they sell on the side of the road. Right, then if you are still struggling for resources, right, you know that paper that you're going to throw away in your school, the one side is blank. Okay, so what I used to do with my class, especially if the kids forgot their buzz boards, some of them didn't buy them, then I would have the rough paper. You could either fold it into 4 like that, or you could fold it into 4 like this. Okay, so they can write an answer 4 times. On the one part is photocopied, but it's waste paper, the other side is blank. Then each one gets a crayon, which is cheaper, a dark crayon, because Ekasmo's blind, so I have to give them a dark crayon. Then when you ask them a question, they write it in crayon, and they've got a temporary buzzboard. And then you can throw this away recycling in your school, and then you can take another page and give it to them. So if there are any other ideas, please share them, but there are some ideas of how to make cheap buzzwords. The other way also is that if you've got someone who's really handy at your school, you know, there are carpenters or something, you can get them. You can ask them, you can buy a Masonite board for them, then ask them to cut them into A4 size, and then you can buy blackboard paint, and they can paint it with blackboard, and you give the learners a chalk. A chalk is cheaper than a Koki pen. So there's another way of actually doing that. If they write with a permanent pen, you know, acetone can remove the permanent pen. So those are ideas. If there are any ideas, please share them. Okay, so we're gonna use the buzzboard now for this activity. So take your buzzboard out with a Koki pen. I'm going to ask questions. You're going to write the letter of the answer, and you're going to write it quite big on that board. Listen to me carefully. You're going to write the answer of just the letter. Is that clear? You're going to write it quite big because this group is quite big, so I can see it at a glance. Is that clear? Okay. After you have written the answer, turn your board over. Try and hide it from the people that like to see what you are writing. And then turn the board over. Then I will say 1, 2, 3. Then you all show your boards to me first. And then you can show everybody else. But once I ask the question, I will give you something called think time or wait time. That's another technique. Think time or wait time. Because you can't expect learners now to just answer like that. They need time to think. Are we okay? Right, I know some of you are really clever, but let's give everybody a chance, okay? And don't show other people how you know your work so they can copy from you. When you are using name or talking sticks to ask learners to respond to questions, some learners keep on putting their hands up. Right, please just hide your work there, because I saw you say, here's the answer. Right, I told you to write big, ne? Yeah, let me see. Right, let's see. Okay, I'm seeing. Right, and okay, now show everybody else. Tabi saying as a student, what do you know? What have you learned from this?
From this whole experiment, which
this one here, the buzzboards.
I've learned that most people, or majority of the people, said it was true. And I think it is true.
Right, okay. So this is what you do next, okay? Right. And let me take a name stick. I'm not saying there's time always to do this, but I want to show you this because this is important. Because someone could have just looked at somebody else and written true, isn't it? So you take a name stick and you say, Sandile, show us in the book where you found this information. Okay, and if you find it, you can just keep your finger there. I'll give you a clue, Sandile. It's in the chapter with techniques. Okay, so this is way to check. Yeah, this is the way to check and to make everybody refer to their page. You found it, Sandy? What page is it? Page 31. Right, good. Okay, can you see now what you're doing? Because I'm checking if Sandy really knows, unless he took the information from one of the people on his table. But I'm also reinforcing where the information is. Right, okay, let's move on to the next question. There's a piece of toilet paper on your table. You can just use it to wipe that answer off. Wipe the answer off. Just share the toilet paper. Right. Thumbs up if you're ready. Thumbs up if you are ready. Right, okay, let's move on to the next question. Which of the following would you consider to be the most important reason when writing a learning intention? The learning intention A must be based on a concept or skill from CAPS or ATPs. B, show what evidence learners must produce to demonstrate learning. B, completed during one period to achieve learning. C, be completed during one period to achieve learning. Answer A, B, or C on your board. Turn your board over. Right, if you don't know the answer, you can put up a blank board as well, because that will also help us gather evidence of learning. Because you don't know the answer, so we can see how many don't know the answer. Okay, and then we can decide whether to reteach. 1, 2, 3. Hold the board up. Okay, tell me why you think it was A and not B and C. That might help you. Yeah. Right, okay, why didn't you choose B? Because, wait, let him answer. Can you see what we're doing? Yes! Right. At least I know now, Sandile knows the difference between LI and SC.
It's also, colleagues, it's also interesting how YS use both higher order questioning in the quiz.
Is when you do multiple choice, you need to make sure you have the correct answer, which is really good, but have very good distractors so that you can actually ask them why this and why not that, so that they can differentiate. So now when you think of those words like identify and describe and analyze, having good distractors together with the correct answer will help you make good multiple choice.
Thank you, Ozzy. And people think that multiple choice question is a level 1 question. It can be a higher order thinking question as well. All right. I also noticed when I have a niece who's in grade 7, and now they're expected to do multiple choice questions in math, but the one question is actually working out a sum. Now, how much time have you allocated for them to actually work the sum out and then write the answer down? You can't just expect multiple choice questions that happen quickly. They don't. They don't. Right, let's move on to the next two and then we're going to round up. Okay, and let's go to this. The learning intention and the success criteria must be linked, true or false. Write T or write F. Ready? Right. 1, 2, 3. And you can look around and see the answers also. Okay. Right, let me read this question out again. When sharing learning intentions and success criteria with learners, it is important for the teacher to ensure A, that they are visible throughout the lesson, B, that they are only referred to at the beginning of the lesson, C, that they should be memorized by the learners at the beginning of the lesson. Let me repeat this. When sharing learning intentions and success criteria with learners, it is important for the teacher to ensure that they are visible throughout the lesson, A, B, only referred to at the beginning of the lesson, and C, memorized by the learners at the beginning of the lesson. So in my success criteria, I'm going to say, have I achieved the learning intentions with you? I'm going to say yes. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the next section.
Learning goals and success criteria are critical pieces of information students need to be successful learners. Students and teachers must hold a common understanding of what is to be learned and what successful achievement looks like. With explicit goals and criteria, students have the beginnings of what they need to become independent, self-monitoring learners.
Please go to section 7 of your books, page 61. Right, Kurt, please read us the LIs and SCs on page 61. We're doing FAS 3. And each one of you will tell us, in your training when you became a teacher, and in your experience as a teacher, right, what do you know about questioning? And I'm going to take out a name stick and then you will give us your... It does not have to be the right answer. It's your answer. What do you know about questioning? As part of your training of becoming a teacher, what did you learn? And as part of your experience, what did you pick up about questioning? Okay, so what do you know about it? Is that clear? Sometimes it's easy for the teacher to answer the question just to move the lesson forward. Right? You'll say, success criteria is... yes, Jean-Ray? Success criteria is about the learner showing you what they know. You give the answer. Because you're so tempted to get the lesson done. But are you developing critical thinking? How do you prepare high cognitive demand questions? I'd like you to go to page 68 and on your own, I want you to just look at that page, scan through it. Right, we've given guidelines for you to practice writing higher order thinking questions or high cognitive demand questions, right? Okay, that's what we want to do. And here's the first guideline on page 68, give a range of answers. Instead of just asking what is 4 by 4, you can give them a few answers. They must choose one and explain why. Are you with me? Thumbs up if you are with me. Thumbs sideways if you are not sure. Can I move on? Thumbs up if I can move on to the next one. Right, here's a who question. Who are the people that help us in our communities? They'll probably say nurses, policemen, and so on. That's just a closed question, can you see? But if you change that question into a statement, communities need more policemen than nurses. Now you're asking them a high cognitive demand question. You're making them think, do we need more police? What is my context? There's a lot of crime, so I think we need police. Oh, there's a lot of illnesses in our area. We don't have a clinic. We need more nurses. We don't have a hospital nearby. Can you see how we've changed that? Do you agree or disagree, and why? Us as teachers, we always want learners to agree with us. We always want the learners to agree. And if they disagree, then we put them down. They have their own opinions. And if they can justify their opinion, why not? Okay? Let's look at number 3, the guideline number 3. Right. Present opposite options and ask for reasons. So, have you heard of the word devil's advocate? You play devil's advocate. You might not support a particular argument, but you put it forward to make people think. Right. So there's an example of that. What is social media? Oh, social media is TikTok, it's WhatsApp, it's it's YouTube and all of that. That's easy. Explain how social media, for example, Facebook, can be positive but also negative for children. It's positive, why? It's negative, why? Let's look at guideline number 4. Let us explain how answer was obtained. Okay? In a story, what did Thando do in the story? Oh, well, Thando jumped off the building, he did this, he did that, he did this, that's the story. But if you say Thando was brave in the story, we just read, explain your answer. So you're giving them that the fact he was brave, but now you tell me why. Okay? And the last guideline, ask questions from an opposing viewpoint. Okay? Again, giving different positions. Let's look at the question there. Why do people recycle goods? Or we ask them this. Do you think recycling goods is a waste of time and money? Explain your answer. Are we okay? Right. Now, what you are going to do on your own, but I'm going to give you a guideline that you will select. Not select, it's going to be random. You're going to, for your own learning area subject that you teach, you're going to use one of the guidelines. I'm going to show you, I'll tell you more afterwards. You're going to use one of the guidelines to develop a low order thinking question, and you're going to convert it into a high cognitive demand question. Is that clear? So if I use high order or high cognitive demand, I'm using the words interchangeably. In a previous training, we used to use the word HOTS. HOTS meaning high order thinking question. May I have your attention, please? Go to page 61.
Learning intentions. We are learning to understand how to use formative assessment strategy 3. That is using questions, discussions, and activities to obtain evidence of learning.
So I was being very antagonistic. Like wherever I would go, I would ask someone, "Hey, is this your one? Hey, you're not paying attention to the allies and issues." But as far as questions go, I think the colleagues did a great job in terms of changing the question from a low order question such as "What is this?" or into a "Why is this?" type of question.
Thank you, Tashwin. Let me take another name stick out.
Where the poster was right now, but it was not simplified enough to be constructive as a building block. The question was loaded. I found that some of the questions loaded.
Loaded what?
Yeah. In terms of it was towards higher order.
And isn't that what we wanted?
Perhaps not for the SCs, building up the SCs towards the LI.
Is that what you did?
That's what I found. Should have been simplified.
So were all of them like that?
No, there was the one particular one I can't remember.
Okay.
Alright, we're good.
Right, okay, thank you for your feedback there.
It doesn't have to be based on facts. It doesn't have to be based on what you've learned in the class. How did you come to that answer?
Thank you for that,
Absolutely. But what I've noticed about some of the questions is that the link between the lower order and the higher order questions is clear, visible to me. That is what I take on that question. Thank you.
You didn't show the breakdown method. You need to show how you solve the problems.
Okay.
And then we said it was specific and negative.
Right.
Yes.
Success criteria. I know I have achieved the learning intentions when I can state FAS 3. Number 2, engage all learners to participate in my lessons. Number 3, prepare high cognitive demand questions before lessons. Number 4, use high cognitive demand questions during lessons. Number 5, collect evidence of learning using different techniques.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, here. Thank you very clearly. We understood what you were saying, and as Kurt explained, this is what we are doing for this particular section. Right, okay, now, this is what we're going to do. Right, the group that did number 1, put your hands up. Group number 1, that answered number 1 at the back there. Tandikile, it was your group, right? Okay, now listen what we're going to do. I'm going to give a flip chart paper to that group. You will then decide which question you want to put on. You'll write the low cognitive demand question, which is LCD. And then below it, you'll write the high cognitive demand. Decide amongst yourself whose question you want to put on. Is that clear? Don't argue or fight. You can volunteer. It's okay. Number 2, right. Okay, I'm going to give the paper to Koleka. Don't use up all the space. Put your question on top and then your high HCD at the bottom. And then pass the paper to them so they can put the example on as well. Right, come, someone to collect the paper from there. But this is your resource. This book is your resource. You are teachers. You can read. Okay? You don't know how to not read for meaning. You can read for meaning. So I'm basing my process on that assumption, right? This book also, as Prof says, it's ESCOM proof when you're training. If the data projector goes off while you are training, you've got a book. You can still carry on. The activities can still carry on. The information can still be presented. Okay. You are all going to walk around the room. My gallery. Your work is up there. I want you must linger at the posters about the questions. Guideline 1, Guideline 2, Guideline 3. But for now, I want you to look at everything. This is your work. The reason I'm doing this is often I find classrooms are empty. Their walls are empty. Some of you have all these nice posters you've paid for, but I never see learners work up in the classroom. Right? Foundation phase, yes. Foundation phase, I know. That's like classes to behold because the learners work. But other classes, higher school, a lot of high school the walls are empty. There's never any learners work up there. So your work now is up. Be proud of it. Okay, so you can get up, walk around the room very quickly, like as if AB is an athlete, so maybe he can run around and you can all chase him. Right? But a real quick walk around here, from around here, then go and linger at the posters. I'm giving you about 8 minutes for that. Right? Go. Thank you. Move.
You want me to open? It's on the side. Yeah, it's for me on the side. I know you did pick, pay, and share. That's right.
I don't know if you've ever been to a gallery before, but the behavior was exactly like in a gallery. How you were mingling with each other. Again, kids have fun like that. And you were talking about people's work, maybe comparing things and so on. Another way of, I think, making learning a little bit more engaging.
Being a master trainer for coding and robotics and AFL changed my mindset, because I used to be that teacher who wants the learner to sit still, but now I'm no longer doing that. My learners have freedom in my classroom, and they would explain if I'm asking a question, and the answer will be, I think, because I'm trying to stimulate their critical thinking, you see. So now if you are going to be that teacher who wants your class to be still, then you.
Thanks for that. Somebody else's hand was up somewhere? Yes, Omar.
Fortunately for me, I teach GET, Creative Arts and Drama. So drama, there's always a noise. I must keep the noise level down. With visual art, when we discuss the issue or the topic or the theme that we addressing in our art, then there's noise. The only time that they are quieting down is when they're making their collages and they're starting with their scamps and their drawing development, you know. But there is constructive, there should be constructive noise. It shouldn't be, you could, yeah.
Thank you. And I know the principal I worked under, he would hate it when the kids were saying shh, shh, shh. Yeah, he would really be upset about it because he thinks you're making him into an ogre. Yeah. Okay, Lucinda.
Thank you. I think there is a difference between a rowdy classroom and a constructive noise class. You can tell the difference between the two different noises. So when there is a noise, my deputy will always come into my class. So welcome that individual so that they can understand what is happening in your class. Invite him to come and see what you are doing. Because sometimes they think you are not doing that and the learners are going crazy.
And also, your teaching should not always remain in the confines of four walls. I'm going to carry on and I'll come back to you, right? Because that's what we do. We never take the kids out of the classroom. You can do language outside, in the garden, on the stadium, on the grandstand if you have one. Do your lessons outside too. It doesn't have to be indoors. As a natural science teacher myself, I really take my kids outside. If we're doing plants, walk around the garden, maybe even prepare a worksheet beforehand, say, right, you're going to go to certain parts and you're going to look at the plants and you're going to answer some questions as well. So you can do it outside as well. If there's nothing stopping you, we're too confined in the classroom. What were your comments about the questions? What would you like to say about the questions as an art connoisseur, an art critique?
They were cool questions. So I was being very antagonistic. Like wherever I would go, I would ask someone, "Hey, is this your one? Hey, you're not paying attention to the allies and SEs." But as far as questions go, I think the colleagues did a great job in terms of changing the question from a lower order question, such as "What is this?" or into a "Why is this?" type of question. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Tashwin. Let me take another name stick out and ask you. Right, and let us go to Adrian. Adrian.
Keep the mic, you wanted the mic. Don't remember exactly what where the poster was right now, but it was not simplified enough to be constructive as a building block. The question was loaded. I found that some of the questions loaded.
Loaded what?
Yes, in terms of it was towards higher order.
And isn't that what we wanted?
Perhaps not for the SCs, building up the SCs towards the LI.
Is that what you think?
That's what I found. It should have been simplified a bit.
So were all of them like that?
No, there was the one particular one I can't remember where it
down,
was.
okay.
All right, we're done.
Right, okay. Thank you for your feedback there. And Jandri? You saw the questions. What would you say? Your feedback on overall a general impression of the questions people wrote, the low cognitive demand and the high cognitive demand questions.
What I realized with the guidelines is that many of the lower order questions were factual, based on factual information, but the higher order information, you could actually connect the dots with other facts, or try and make your own prediction, or try and find a way to connect the dots. And it doesn't have to be based on facts. It doesn't have to be based on what you've learned in the class, but you have to answer why. Why do you deduce? How did you come to that answer?
Thank you for that, Jean-Ray. And the next person is Marshall. Give us your view, Marshall, on what you saw in terms of the questions.
I did not walk around, but what I've because I was in the other meeting. But what I've noticed about some of the questions is that the link between the lower order and the higher order questions is clear, visible to me. That is what I can take from the questions. Thank you.
He put up that last slide there about the research. I think it's very important for us to think about it, reflect on it. Like I said, it might not make a lot of sense, but reflect, and one of the easiest way to reflect is to think about yourself and how you responded to feedback. How you responded to a mark, how you responded when you got 98 and you wondered about the 2%. And if something was written, perhaps it would have helped you understand what happened to the 2%. Also think about when you were only given comments about something and what it did for you. But that then is what research has actually shown us. There are bits of reading in here. Jayesh said we're not going to go too deep into it, but just to understand that there are differences between, amongst just giving marks and comments only. What we want to do is now go on to page 87. Okay, it's part of the feedback. 89, huh? Sorry, page 89, right on the top. Okay, and now we're going to look at activity 8.5. And the way in which we are going to do that activity, we are going to get you to read, we're going to call you out, to read the first section over there, and then in your groups, I mean you can work individually, but in your groups you are going to then answer questions 1 and 2. Koleka, what you're going to read for us is the learning intention and the success criteria. Just that.
Write a paragraph. I can. Write a paragraph about the picture. Write the first sentence that tells the reader what the paragraph is about. Write a paragraph of 4 sentences.
Okay. So what we're looking at over here, when we read those first 2, remembering what Jayesh had actually reminded us, that when we give feedback, we're always remembering what the learning intention is and the success criteria. So it's not just about an activity, but it's about how it links up to what they were supposed to be learning and what they were supposed to be doing. Okay, so...
Next one is Vero. Vero.
Where are you?
Veronica.
After introducing the LI and AC and making sure the learners understand the LI and AC, Mrs. Mokosi asks learners to cut out one picture from their magazine. She then asks them to write a paragraph based on what they see in the picture.
Okay. And so it's what I noticed when the first paragraph was being read to us was the sound that came from the room. Is that we were captivated by the voice and the start of it. And these are the type of things that you want to be doing in the class. You want to get people to hear how other people say, oh, that's how I want to read. Oh, that's how it should be read. But it also gives a lot of people a chance to actually speak in the class. So even though it is one bit that we say, okay, you read the whole thing, we're breaking it up into little bits. Third one.
While learners are cutting out their picture, Mrs. Mkhos noticed that Zama has cut 3 pictures and says, whoa, you have 3 pictures. Now you can select the best one to write your paragraph. Other learners hear this and now pick up their scissors again and start looking through the magazine for other pictures to cut out.
Okay, so now we're going to look for the next one.
A few minutes later, Mrs. Mokosi praises Othello as follows. Very neat handwriting, Othello. I am glad that you are taking your time. Some learners now begin to rewrite the paragraph and to write slowly to ensure that the handwriting is also neat.
So we've gone through and we've seen something happening in a classroom, and these are very real scenarios that take place in classrooms. What we need you to do now is to respond to questions number 1 and 2, and we'll give you a few minutes for that.
Please read the first paragraph in that purple block on top. Mrs. Mokosi, start there. All of you pay attention. I'm going to come and give you the microphone.
Mrs. Nkhosi notices that Zama has cut 3 pictures. She reminds Zama to read the learning intention and success criteria written on the board again. Then she very quietly tells Zama that it is good to have few pictures because she can choose the best one that will give her ideas to write a good paragraph.
Mrs. Mokhosi sees that Qetelo has almost completed his work and says, "Well done, Qetelo. I see that the first sentence tells the reader what the paragraph is about. Now focus on what happened next in your story." She then whispers to Qetelo that she likes his neat work.
At this point, the class knows that the LI and the SC are what the teacher is actually looking for. The teacher has made this clear by focusing her oral comments on the SC.
Figure 8.2 provides some tips to improve oral feedback to learners. Bullet 1, all feedback must be based on the success criteria. Bullet 2, timing is important. Provide feedback as soon as possible. Bullet 3, create opportunities for learners to respond to your feedback, e.g. in class. Bullet 4, feedback must provide information on next step. For an example, the receipt for action. The last bullet, first comment on a positive aspect of a learner's work and then indicate an area that the learner could improve on. When required, give the learners an improvement suggestion.
Page 90 and 91, you can read how to give oral feedback to learners. Really, really important. The one point I want to emphasize is focus on the task, not the person. Focus on the task, not the person. Okay, now we're going to move on to page 92 and 93, and we're going to break you up into different groups. Ravi, read us a statement B now, because A has been done for you.
Some good ideas is positive. It will be displayed on the wall. It's not specific.
Yes, there's no recipe for action. Right, it's good, positive comment and all of that. Great.
You didn't show the breakdown method. You need to show how you solve the problems.
Okay.
And then we said it was specific and negative.
Right.
We say it is positive,
Yes.
but non-specific.
Because did they say what the information is supposed to be? No, right. Thank you. Let's go to Petunia's table there. E.
All correct symbols and steps, the chart will be displayed on the wall.
Yeah.
E is positive and specific.
Positive and
Specific.
So those of you who are not doing that group, you can write C in this quadrant here. You can write E in that quadrant there, and B and D in this quadrant here. Okay, and then you can do that on your own afterwards to check if you are happy with the responses given. Okay, and then we're going to go to written feedback. We're not going to do all of them. We're going to do a few. Okay, let's start with table 7 there. Okay, table 7. Let's look at number 2. You can read us, and then you can check with them. Those of all of us, let's go to activity 8.7, page 93. Read number 2 there for us.
The rap song about poverty was profound. What do you think causes poverty?
Yes.
We say it's A. It
Yeah.
highlights one or more successes.
Right. And what did you say? Just A.
Yes, just A.
Okay, your rap song of poverty was profound. Okay, it highlights the success. What do you think causes poverty? You said make a specific suggestion for improvement. Okay, that's fine. Let's move on to number 5. Let's go to Bevel's group there quickly. Bevel's group, what did you write for number 5? You said A. Right, there is a positive comment. Yes. Right? Okay, let's look at that. Number 5 is A, but there's nothing there. Are you with me? Right, we just don't have time to do each one, so I'm just going through this quickly. Right, and then let's go to going down that way. It's 765, table 5. Let us do number 6. Number 6. Did you put a tick anywhere? Nothing. Right, okay, because it just says 7 out of 10, redo. I mean, too many errors, redo. There's nothing there. It's not highlighting, it's not identifying and all of that. Which table haven't I come to yet? This table here. Right. Becky, your table can be number 8. Tell us about number 8. Yes.
And then we tick the A and C.
You ticked A and C. But if you look here, some of the people ticked A, B, and C. The idea is your written feedback must highlight one positive area. It must identify an area of improvement, and it must give something that they need to do as a next step. Look at descriptive guiding and descriptive showing. I'm going to talk about that. Showing is where you point out exactly where the error is and what they need to do. Guiding is you give them a clue. Are you with me? Right? You can use text or symbols, and I'm going to take you to page 96, everybody, and I'm going to show you that in action. Because things like no answer, incomplete are procedural comments. I'm not saying you mustn't use them, but there's no recipe for action there. Unless in grade 1 you're teaching them handwriting, then you can say handwriting needs to be, this line needs to be better or whatever. There you can talk about it because you're teaching handwriting. There's a success criteria for teaching handwriting. But now once you go to the higher grades, you're not going to be doing handwriting there. So this is particularly important for us. Page 96, and I'm going to explain it to you quickly. Look at page 8, figure 8.4. Can you see what we've done there? The first example. The number 14 is circled. Now we're telling them exactly where the error is. Can you see that? Can you see that? Yes. Show thumbs up if you see it. Right, okay. Then look at the next example there. We've put 2 orange dots. We didn't tell them where the exactly which error it was. We just said in that step and that step there's an error. Now you know your learners. Remember we talked about differentiation. So those learners who need greater help, you will circle the number that is incorrect. But for those learners who may need less help, you will give them a clue to say in this step and this step there's an issue. And for the learners who you know can really think for themselves, you just put 2 dots next to the sum and they must figure out which 2 steps are incorrect. Differentiation in action. Are you with me? Yes. Do you get it now? And we're not using a tick or a cross. Can you see we're not using a tick or a cross?
To the child that you know is more able, you just put dots to notice that there is something.
Yes.
And then to the child that is less able in terms of the work, and then you just underline where the challenge is.
So you have an underlined child, you have a child that can do it on their own, and you have one in between.
So in addition to the underlined child and the dot child, there's something very important that needs to be kept in mind, especially when you're training, is to let the other teachers also understand that the child and parents and other teachers need to understand these new codes. They need to understand when something is underlined, it means that's where the problem is. When it's 1 dot, it means 1 mistake. When it's 2 dots, it means 2 mistakes. So that they learn the key. So it's very easy to look at it and say, okay, this is what it is. So it's an important thing. So it's not taken for granted that if you put 2 dots, the next teacher who is moderating knows exactly what is going on.
The symbol is going to make your life easier. That dot and all of that is you giving learners learner-centered, that they figure out themselves what the response should be. But then you can even ask them to come to you if they need help. Is that clear? Any questions about that? You got it? Okay, right. Let's move on. Page 96 at the bottom. Can you see the symbols there? You got 3 minutes to look at that symbol chart there at the bottom, figure 8.5. Look at that. It can indicate something that the learners need to do. There's a recipe for action. Is that clear? I know you use stickers and stars and all of that, but it's great to use that, but it doesn't give a recipe for action. You might use a red star saying something needs to be done, it's a star and so on. Even those stickers are an issue sometimes, it's how you use them. So those are symbols there, okay? For English, we know the standard symbols, is that clear? Because you know what to do. Those English teachers, language teachers, the symbols are common, you know that, right? But even then, to be creative, you're going to create just one symbol for your subject on your own. I'll repeat myself. On that exit ticket, you're going to create a symbol, just one symbol for your subject, and it must have a meaning and a recipe for action. Is that clear? Whatever symbol you want to use, the condition is that the symbol must be quick to put on a learner's work. So then when you're marking books, you're not using always ticks and crosses now. I've given you an idea, but now at the bottom of your work, you can put a symbol there, say, right, come and see me, or something like that. Okay? Any symbol you decide, but it must be quick for you to draw, because sometimes you might want to do it in 100 books, and then you've got a Picasso-like symbol and you can't finish. That's where we want learners to be. Independent learners, able to check their own work, able to find solutions to their own work, but even importantly, able to come to ask for help when they need it. That's self-assessment. And again, you don't have to use ticks and crosses. They don't have to mark their book with ticks and crosses. They can use dots, they can use other colors, you can use stars, whatever, asterisks, and so on. That's how learners, and they can give themselves feedback. Remember the sentences we saw in peer assessment? Right? You have done this well. I can say to myself now, I think I did this well. I need help with this. How will I get that help? I'm going to ask Mrs. So-and-so, can I talk to her during break? Or I'm going to ask my partner, Cedric, can you show me how to do this? I assess myself, I find an area for improvement, and I give myself a recipe for action. Okay? Now some of you think action is not a cake, ne? I'm giving myself a recipe for action, but action is not a cake or something. Okay? So now you think, hey, what's the recipe now? I mean, what are the steps to make action there? I know some of you already think of other kinds of action, but please. Okay? Right? Even myself, I'll give myself a goal to achieve. Are we together? And I can write that down. I can show the teacher. And when you're doing peer and self-assessment class, teachers, you have to do it often so they become better at it. You have to monitor some. Now you can't monitor the whole class. You'll say, you know what, today I'm going to do these few learners, I'm going to give them feedback about how they do self-assessment. Then next week I'll do another group, and so on and so on and so on. Within half of the year, or less than half the year, you would have probably helped learners learn how to do self-assessment. The same way you would have helped learners to do peer assessment as well. Don't leave it alone with them, please. Watch them, show them, guide them how to do it. The more practice they have, the better for them. Okay. Any questions about peer and self? Okay, so we've done quite a bit of work, and now we're going to check how much you have actually learned without giving you marks.
We've got just a nice small activity for you, so you can put your pens down. This is an individual activity, so you don't have to worry about the person next to you worrying you as well. Okay. You need your phones or your laptops, depending on what you have. We need you to go back to the site itself. I've just put the URL back up there. And when you're in there, go to the SATU Western Cape. It should actually just take you there because you probably registered only in your space. And there is an N-line activity for you to do. There should be only one. I'll show it to you now. Click on it and answer the questions. When you're on the site, you will see it says N-line Fair SATU. You click on it and it's multiple choice. Remember, don't create new accounts. You log in with the username and password that you did the last time, no? We need you to complete this activity. There's only about 20 that have pressed submit. You would have recognized that the survey or the quiz that you are taking is called Endline. It's exactly the same as the one you did yesterday. And the reason for doing the same thing twice is to be able to compare the one with the other. If a person does one and not the other, it does not help our stats. It does not help us to inform, let's say, the SADTU management leadership of what is actually going on. It doesn't help us in working out what we are doing well and not doing well. It's important. If you choose not to do it, you need to tell one of us that, listen, I'm not interested in doing the survey. Then we know, because I'm sitting there and looking at this over here, and let's say my boss is actually looking at me. Are you done? Are you done? I can't say if I'm done, because I'm looking at blank spaces. And I need you. If you choose not to do it, perhaps tell me, then I know I'm not looking for your thing to come back in there. But please press submit. If you are having difficulty with it, ask one of us, and we will be able to come to you and see to it that you have submitted. People, it is important. These are the type of stats that you will also be looking at. You will be doing things in a class and checking. So please, people, finish up. There's only about 20 of you that have submitted already. We need the others to complete as well, please.
Learning goals and success criteria are critical pieces of information students need to be successful learners. Students and teachers must hold a common understanding of what is to be learned and what successful achievement looks like. With explicit goals and criteria, students have the beginnings of what they need to become independent, self-monitoring learners.
The use of AI is going to be really problematic, and you must know how to do it. When ChatGPT started, it started as OpenAI. Now you need to pay. There are really critical advantages, and the one argument I want to make now, more than ever, agency of teachers and agency of humans in this whole debate is vital. And if you're not serious, I don't know how to say it, but you're going to just become, well, cognitively dysfunctional. It's a serious thing. The latest research is showing that people who are using AI are losing their critical thinking skills. There's a concept called cognitive dystrophy. And we know learners that are students, learners, you give them assignment, they struggle to write a sentence, and then in the assignment it's like amazing arguments. I mean, I've seen submissions where I struggle to understand philosophy and authors writing, and the students got strong arguments in like a week's time proposal. So it's really serious. And so here's the key question. How far or where are you with regard to AI? And are your students using it? And if you don't know, I can tell you now your students are using it. And if you want to learn about AI, learn from your students. It's a really serious thing. So the one point I want to make really critical is that if you're going to use AI, you have to be on top of your game. You have to know it. Because if you don't, it's going to make you dumb. The key point is you should be using AI. Let me just put it that way. But the second point is that if you use it, be critical. So I want to demonstrate some of the things, and as you saw, I have a really nice critical presentation, a lot of notes in the book, but I'm not going to use it. What I am going to use instead is actually AI. Give us a very clear summary of what AI is, how it works, what are the challenges, and what are the dangers. I have a group of really excited and interested teachers, but many of them are very tired. So try to make it exciting, okay?
We can absolutely do that.
That's a fantastic request, and we totally get the tired teachers part.
We'll aim for clear, concise, and energizing.
We'll make sure to distill it down to the absolute essentials.
So let's dive right into that exciting summary for your teachers.
Today we're exploring artificial intelligence, something you've put so much thought into.
And we're going to cover what it is, how it works, and its challenges and dangers.
Your material is our guide for this, focusing on AI in teaching, learning, and assessment.
It's designed to prompt critical thinking for educators like your group of teachers.
The goal isn't just to tell you about AI, but to help you grasp its true nature.
And its profound implications, especially for shaping young minds.
Your material really encourages deep reflection before adopting these new tools.
So to summarize for your teachers, what exactly is AI?
It's computer systems performing tasks that typically require human intelligence.
Like reasoning, learning, decision-making, and understanding language.
How does it work? AI models combine vast amounts of data, algorithms, and computing power.
They take user instructions, called prompts, and generate responses.
For teachers, these responses could be lesson info, student predictions, or even grading help.
AI uses mathematical algorithms to find patterns in huge data sets.
It's trained through trial and error, much like humans learn.
Here's where it gets exciting for your teachers. AI is different from traditional tech.
Traditional tech does what it's programmed to do, no more.
But AI can learn from examples, not just fixed rules.
It handles new situations it hasn't seen before, which is pretty amazing. It understands context and adjusts its output accordingly.
And it generates new content, not just pulling from existing responses.
When you give it a prompt, the AI reads it.
Then it thinks about what it's learned from similar information.
And it starts generating new content, often word by word.
It checks each word against its knowledge of language and the subject.
Finally, it gives you a response text, images, music, or video.
These are generative AI or Gen AI models, which many of your teachers might already be familiar with.
There's also agentic AI, which is goal-oriented and adaptable.
These can take action based on understanding a situation, not just reacting to instructions.
Think of it like a personal tutor, presenting lessons on specific topics autonomously.
In contrast, Gen AI is more like a creative assistant, doing exactly what you ask.
It answers questions, helps you write, summarizes, creates images, but that's it.
Agentic AI, though, takes the initiative, making decisions independently.
Like a digital teaching assistant that notices what's happening and decides what to do next.
So, what are the implications of these powerful tools for educators and your teachers specifically?
Your material wisely states that AI itself won't transform teaching.
It's the pedagogical practices in the classroom that will truly make the difference.
This means understanding AI's capabilities, but also its significant limitations.
Now let's get to the challenges and dangers your teachers need to be aware of.
One big concern you highlight is cognitive and learning skill atrophy, or decline.
Over-reliance on AI can reduce critical thinking, decision-making, and problem-solving skills.
This is due to the convenience of instant answers and passive consumption of information.
You even call this metacognitive laziness in your material, which is such a vivid term.
Another challenge is unexplainable models and hallucinations.
AI models are often black boxes. We don't really know how they generate their outputs.
And they can frequently provide plausible sounding but incorrect information. That's hallucination.
So human review of AI-generated content is absolutely crucial.
You also point out AI's lack of real-world understanding.
It generates content based on statistical patterns, lacking common sense. Meaning it doesn't know what it's talking about in a human way.
Another danger is AI reducing diversity of opinions and marginalizing voices.
AI tends to produce standard answers that reflect the values of its creators' data.
This can limit diverse opinions, especially at the expense of underrepresented communities.
You also highlight worsening digital poverty.
The creation and control of AI are concentrated in a few technologically advanced places. This exacerbates data poverty in disadvantaged communities, further excluding marginalized voices.
Finally, a significant danger is using content without consent.
AI models are trained on vast amounts of data, often from the internet without permission.
This violates intellectual property rights, a very real ethical issue.
So while AI offers immense potential, these ethical considerations are parallel.
Especially for teachers guiding the next generation.
Share with us what your group said about AI.
We think that AI is the robot that is being commanded by many people.
Okay.
AI is artificial intelligence with the ability of machines to perform tasks that is required from humans' intelligence.
So let me ask this question. Jayashkar, is AI intelligent?
I think it's intelligent because it can gather a group of
information from different sources and make it one thing. And yeah.
Okay, who else said one? Ma'am, what do you say?
So for it to have the ability to learn, and it also learns languages. For example, now it probably knows English, but if it can learn languages, it's going to learn isiXhosa, isiSotho, Afrikaans, and so on. So that is intelligence for me.
Okay, so who said two then?
It's not intelligent because it draws from existing information, and if you ask it specific things, it will give you exactly what you're asking it. It's not going to give you something beyond. Like if we, the low cognitive question and the high cognitive question. If you ask, and I've used AI in my subjects, I've used it in personal, I've used it in sport to come up with an answer to a critical question that I'm faced with. And once you give AI certain descriptors of what you want from it, it's going to give you exactly that, nothing else.
Okay, who else?
I'm not that it lacks yes.
Why?
Because it's
dumb.
No, not really dumb, but yeah.
AI is not intelligent because it is made, it's artificial intelligence, it's made to be intelligent, whereas with human beings, we are naturally intelligent. So it depends on human, it's man-made, and whatever is fed to AI, it's what it's going to accept. So for me, I feel it's not intelligent. That is why when you started, you said you need to be critical when you're using AI.
I agree with the comrades there who also said that AI is not intelligent because AI needs to be prompted, unlike a person. Like humans are free thinkers. Like we are also like radical thinkers. Like the ideas that we come up with, we can be creative, and AI is also dependent on analyzing information because it can do it faster, and also has a computer system that can help it with algorithms and so on.
Myself, I think it's an intelligent. If somebody is saying it's not an intelligent, must remove the word intelligent and remain with artificial, or else name it anew. It is an intelligent,
Okay, so here's
despite
the
the type of an intelligent.
Let me ask you them. Is artificial grass not grass? No. It's not grass. It's plastic. Fine. But if the grass is meant to play hockey on, and it's meant to play hockey on, and it allows you to play hockey on. Does it serve the purpose? Can you see? So now, when we grew up, we had no grass. We had sand, football. Then now we got grass. Now we got artificial grass. It's still serving the purpose because we developed it.
It depends on what your definition of intelligence is. For me, I see the word artificial already says it's fake. It's mimicking human, I'll say behavior or intelligence as well. And the reason why I'm saying that, it's almost like a parrot that is just giving out information based on whatever or however the computer has been programmed or coded.
Okay. But humans have no argue, does exactly the same
And there's
thing.
no
How different?
emotion. And there's no emotion.
Ah, now you're talking. There's no emotion. Okay, so what if I tell you? Youngsters all over the world are engaging with ChatGPT for emotional advice.
Humans rely on their senses and experience to make conclusions. So if you didn't know that the fire will burn you and you touch it, the senses will tell you that it's going to burn, and from there you're going to make an inference that if you touch the fire, you will burn. By doing that, you've built new knowledge, something that AI can't do.
I wanted to add, when you asked, is trust, is it artificial trust, not trust? Né? So now I want to make another example.
Smoking.
I want to make another example. It's a question, and I want you to think about it. is artificial hair, not hair.
Put on your teacher hats, your facilitator hats. These are the type of engagements you need with your learners. People are thinking, they're making links to their real life, artificial hair, etc., etc. A couple of things to point out is that go to page 149. Wait, hang on, listen. Yeah. Read it on your own and make up your own mind. There's that yellow, there's the open, it's Gen I and cognitive development. Read it on your own, make up your own mind, and then we'll have your responses whether you think it's 149. The yellow block, it's called Gen AI and cognitive development. Spend 2 minutes reading that on your own and hear what you think. If it's intelligent or not, so you still believe it's intelligent and others believe it's not intelligent.
I've got 2 comments to make. Firstly, this is just my opinion once again, if we had to read 149 before you ask the question, I think that some people's opinions would have differed. That's my opinion. Then the other thing is, now we read it, and there's a lot of people that still feel strongly because they've already made up their mind, kind of, it's not intelligent, and my opinion is that it is intelligent. The only thing that it lacks is human sensory touch, and for now, that is not a feature in AI. But it's improving all the time. Maybe in the next 3-4 years' time, it could change. They could have more human attributes, kind of thing.
So here's the key thing about AI. It operates through patterns, recognizing patterns. Right? The patterns can be anything: apple, bananas, tomatoes, bananas, apple, tomatoes, fruits or vegetables. It operates through patterns, and in order to provide legible, understandable, smart thinking responses, it must go through billions and billions and billions of patterns to come up on a pattern that is most dominant all over the show. Now, the patterns, as you say, are based on information that people upload onto the internet. So if you come from a poor community that don't use the internet, or if your indigenous knowledge is not known, or you're in the Brazilian rainforest and you don't have that rich knowledge of medicine, etc., it's not going to know it. But it's patterns. There's no meaning to it. There's no meaning to the patterns, and you can decide whether it's intelligent or not. I'm not going to make that decision. But there's absolutely no meaning to it. And it makes sense to us because it's able to identify patterns that you will recognize. So it learns language. It doesn't learn anything. It recognizes patterns, and so it knows the pattern A, and the next time it keeps that pattern in mind, and it goes to the pattern, becomes more, and it's patterns. That's why it needs billions and billions of data, and that's why one of the big challenges communities are having now is that AI centers are using billions or millions and millions of liters of water to cool down these computers that need you to run AI. So when you tell AI thank you, it must respond, and that thank you is going to cost a couple of thousands of rands, and it's going to take water, because every response you give, it will respond. Okay, so those are so the environmental issues need to be known, and please, I must be clear, I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm just saying you need to be very clear about it, and I'm arguing for ethical and responsible use of AI, and I'm going to demonstrate its value now of how it can be useful. But I'm also going to show you how it can make you dumb.
I just want to strengthen the point just to say that AI is not intelligent. Basically, in technical maths, we use binary numbers. Basically, it states that computers only understand binary, on or off. On is number, on is 1 and off is 0. And then from that, it's like a code, and then from that code you get your information basically. and there's millions and millions and millions of codes. So basically, the computer only knows binary numbers 1 and 0 actually. So that's basically my point.
I think that's an important point because computer can only read binary off and on.
For us as humans that make a computer seem to be intelligent, it builds up algorithms, so it attaches that stored information to your personal information. That is why we have the pop-ups on our screens and whatsoever. It gives you information when you just speak and it responds back to your phone, because it's a pattern that it keeps on in a consistent manner, a build-up. And so for we as humans, it seems to be as an intelligent, but it works with the function as per the previous information.
So mine is just on, in terms of copyrights and in terms of using or recognizing somebody's work in using AI. How is that going to affect, I'm just thinking of the ethical side to that.
No, those are really serious issues. So let me quickly give you some. So 2 years ago, or just when it came out, I asked AI to develop some questions for me about, I can't remember, I was trying something. So it developed the questions and all the names were white European names. So I said, make the questions more diverse. So all it did is, and it was clearly, you can see the American bias, it changed the name to like Shakilwa and Shanique and Juan and some Pravesh that are dominant in the US, right? You know, Shakilwa and Shanique are mainly African American names, right? And so it did that, and then obviously it's learning more patterns. Now, I ran a workshop at UKZN for staff also on this, and so I did something very similar. It took names of my colleagues, Zama, Janet Ramolo, Katelo Molloy, that I'm using this, those are all our facilitators, which it got from my computer. Got from my computer. Because I never gave it any name. It got from my computer, and now it used their names to say, like, you know, Mrs. Malloy was in the classroom or something like that. So but it didn't learn. It recognized the pattern that when you're in South Africa, the names in South Africa is Mtembu, Ramolo, Ketelo, etc. Can you see that? And then it changes it, etc., etc. So I'm going to show you one positive use of it because it's really useful, but I am arguing you need to be critical. You need patterns of data, you need to understand it, and when you do data analysis, that's what you're looking at. You're looking for patterns. What is the dominant challenge? What is the dominant success? Why is it a success, etc., right? So here's, somebody asked about the ethical questions, right? So I'm answering the ethical question here is, how can effectively integrate while uploading ethical considerations and reasonable practices? So it took less than 2 seconds and said, based on the sources, there is no information about how educators can effectively integrate in an ethical manner. The sources focus on challenges as well as specific teaching strategies, but does not discuss artificial intelligence or its integration in education. So already I know if I've got lots of resources, I don't have to, it's a poor source, and that's not good. Secondly, for marking, for example, you can upload all your assignments and say, okay, what are the common themes that students are presenting? What are the key gaps that are in all these assignments? What are the common thoughts or ideas that are presented? And it will give you that idea. But you better know it yourself what it is. Because if it's going to say it's a maths class and it's going to say the common thoughts are tomato sauce and fish and chips, and you're going to go and give your principal a report to say my students are writing about tomato sauce and fish and chips, because you don't know, I'm being a little facetious, but can you see that if you don't know, and yes, the worst part is the more cognitively demanding task is, the more AI is going to hallucinate. So just be more careful. The more intelligent task is required, right, the greater the need for you to know your work. Okay, you want to see workshop challenges. So it says challenge 1, time and registration. Challenge 2, mindset and logistics. Challenge 3, content and resources. So from all the numerous responses we had, it quickly did that for a few minutes. And now, if I want to go in time and resources, then it says time too short for the 7 strategies. And it also said time management and time information overload. Can you see that? And it did all of that, few minutes. If you want to go, the registration challenges, which Brenda would be interested in, most teachers didn't register on link, it impacted attendance. So this is, Comrade Brenda is cross now. Okay, so can you see, sorry, can you see the value that it is? I didn't spend, if I didn't have this, I would be spending literally an entire evening, if not a part of the day, going through this, analyzing it, making sense of it, and what have you. The key point is, I am aware and I know these are realistic challenges. Here's the key point. The next time we're going to have a workshop, it's probably going to be very different. And your teaching is going to change in ways that is going to be quite significant. And if you don't take the lead, your learners are going to drag you along with them.
You know, if you look back at the word technology, and over the years, when they started looking at what technology is, there was an accepted understanding, not a definition, an accepted understanding that technology was and is anything that makes something easier for you. Like a pencil was technology of the day, and a pen is. In the same way, basically everything that Anil was actually sharing with us needs to be thought about. And I said this earlier, we've got to become very deep in what we take away from this over here. Not, oh yes, AI, now I'm going to go and use it. Need to understand what it is. Practice it. I mean, go and ask it those questions so that you know what it can actually do. And then ask yourself, this is a technology. Make something easier for me. It's not there to think for me. So I don't want to ask it something. I don't know this thing, you tell me what it is, because when it tells me fish and chips and tomato sauce, I don't know the difference and I just hand it to my principal or to my lecturer. Important what we actually use it for. So when we start using the AI, and we must, and we should, because you've been doing it every time you used to ask Google for something, that was using some sort of AI. Right? So you need to actually ask, so how can it make certain things easier for us? And we start off, just like we do with our training, we start off a little at a time. So don't try to do an entire whole thing with the AI, but start off with this. We might not be able to, or choose not to, go with the paid version. So when we work with the freer version, please be careful with what it is, use it guardedly. What I do it with my students, I get them to do things, but I put in, and this is for their assessment. My assessment is, don't just tell me and give me what AI gave you. I said, after you've done it, you write in the prompt, tell me on your submission, show me that prompt. Let me see what AI said. Now you have to write something. So in other words, you can ask it to do a rubric, but I want to see how you edited that rubric. I want to see and remember, like we said, when we first learned about calculators, and the teacher said, nonsense in equals nonsense out. So if it was said in this room, it will respond to what you ask it.
In that chapter, there's this quite a critical issue, and the two I want to highlight is that this issue of AI literacy and ethical awareness. Even if you're not going to use it, please be aware, because your learners are going to. And secondly, if you're not going to empower learners on how to use it responsibility, they're going to go ahead and use it without your knowledge. So that's quite critical. Maybe the last, there's quite a few principles about inclusion, equity, accountability, etc. But this is important in ethical use and disclosure. if you're going to use AI and you need to model this, and now all papers are right, I say this. Level 1 is optional disclosure, if AI doesn't contribute to the work, okay? Level 2 is disclosure of use but not prompts. In other words, it contributes significantly to the content used but not to the underlying idea. Like here, it gave me the information, but not the interpretation, it's my analysis, etc. Number 3, if AI generated the ideas used and contributed to its use, then you not only need to say that, but you also say, this is the prompt I use. I told AI, find information on earthquakes, tell me where they occurred, how did this occur, how did it impact humans, in which countries did it happen, and create the PowerPoint slides for me, as well as create the videos for me, and create the podcast for me, so that when I come into the class, I just put it on and I sit on my desk. We are done with our session. So, Comrade VP, just to say thank you again for the opportunity for me and the team. Really appreciate it, the organization, the participation of colleagues. I think our team learned a lot, and most important, this was a pilot. I think not only us, but our provincial colleagues got good lessons that we're going to make sure when we move forward to the next provinces, we can implement some of the lessons learned, etc. A couple of things. One is, that was really, really encouraging in the times and environments where teachers were under attack, and in particular the impression was that SACTU only busy with strikes. And then you go and you see comrades in multi-grade classrooms, rural areas, and you see the work that they put and the level of commitment that they put, and you say, but hang on, what is out in the reality and what the comrades are doing is too chalk and cheese. And maybe lastly, the one advantage unions have, and that a lot of people are rethinking, is that unions are quite organized and structured. If you want to get things done, you go to the unions, because they're organized, they're structured, and this program is evidence of it, because the unions are leading the way, for example. While everybody was kind of going along with this content coverage, etc., the unions were saying, but hang on, there's more to this. Our children matter, learning matter, quality matter, equity matters. Children from poor and marginalized background matters.
Produces a continuous flow of assessment information that teachers and students use to improve learning. In short, assessment becomes instruction, and instruction becomes assessment.